Hi, my name's Tamara. At my father's will reading, my own sister stood up, looked me straight in the eye, and said, "You're not worthy." In front of everyone. They laughed, they whispered, they made me feel like I was nothing. But what they didn't know was that every cruel word only brought me closer to the truth they tried so hard to bury. How did it get so bad that even my best friend turned against me? How did the people I once called family plot to take everything away from me? And how, somehow, did I end up with it all? The cemetery stretched out before me, an endless sea of polished black umbrellas and muted sorrow. I stood at the edge, clutching a bouquet of fresh lilies, their fragrance sharp against the heavy air. Savannah's humidity clung to my skin like a second betrayal. I didn't expect open arms, but the wall of cold shoulders hit harder than I imagined. Whispers floated through the misty April afternoon, slicing through me sharper than any knife. "Why is she even here?" someone hissed. "After all these years?" another muttered. I kept walking, feeling every pair of eyes slicing into my back. At the front, a grand mahogany casket rested under a drooping oak tree. My father's name, Russell K., gleamed in gold lettering, final and untouchable. I moved toward it, needing, to place the bouquet on his casket. It was the least I could do, the least I deserved to do. But as I reached out, Belinda stepped between me and the casket like a queen guarding her throne. Her tailored black dress clung to her like a badge of honor she hadn't earned. She sneered, her voice sharp enough for the entire crowd to hear. "You don't get to play grieving daughter today, Tamara." She plucked the lilies from my hand and tossed them onto the damp ground. Gasps rippled through the guests. No one stepped forward. No one stopped her. I froze, humiliation burning a trail from my cheeks down to my clenched fists. The bouquet lay broken at my feet, petals bruised and trampled. Belinda turned back to the casket, slipping into a dramatic sob, the epitome of the perfect daughter in mourning. I didn't cry. I wouldn't give them that. I swallowed the lump in my throat, straightened my spine, and made my way to the last row of folding chairs. Sitting alone, I wrapped my arms around myself, as if to keep from shattering. Not every war is fought with words, I reminded myself, my fingers digging into my palms. Sometimes, survival meant swallowing pride and waiting for the right moment. Belinda took the podium, her voice trembling with fake sorrow as she spoke about family unity and honoring Dad's legacy. The hypocrisy oozed off her in waves. I stared at her, memorizing every fake tear, every false quiver in her voice. In that moment, something inside me shifted. I wasn't just grieving a father I'd barely gotten to know. I was mourning the illusion that these people would ever accept me. "This is the last time," I vowed silently. "The last time they humiliate me and think they can walk away smiling." The wind picked up, rustling the oak leaves overhead. I sat perfectly still, waiting, knowing deep in my bones, this funeral was only the beginning. After the funeral ended, the crowd thinned out like smoke drifting from a dying fire. I stayed in my seat until the last mourners shuffled away, pretending not to notice me. When the groundskeeper began folding chairs, I stood, dusted the dirt from my dress, and headed toward my car parked along the gravel road. The K estate wasn't far. Less than a 15-minute drive back through winding streets and moss-draped oaks, the kind of scene tourists love to photograph. Today, though, every corner felt like a trap waiting to snap shut. By the time I pulled into the estate's long driveway, the sun had slipped lower, casting gold shadows across the grand stone facade. Expensive cars lined both sides of the drive like prizes on display. Inside the grand hall, the mood was anything but solemn. Guests in sleek black dresses and tailored suits milled about, champagne flutes in hand, laughter rising in little bursts that made my skin crawl. Belinda stood near the marble fireplace, holding court like the queen of misery. She caught sight of me and leaned into a group of relatives, her laughter shrill enough to slice through the ambient buzz. "Look what the cat dragged in," she announced, her voice dripping with venom. "Didn't think she'd have the guts to show her face." I paused by the door, scanning the room. Eyes darted toward me, some with thinly veiled disgust, others with open amusement. It was like stepping onto a stage where I hadn't been invited. Only here, the script had already been written, and I was cast as the punchline. Belinda raised her glass high, mock toasting in my direction. To family, she said loudly. Even the ones who don't belong. A ripple of laughter rolled through the room, ugly and familiar. My stomach clenched, but I forced my feet forward, pretending not to hear. Inside, though, every nerve in my body was screaming. One woman, a second cousin I barely knew, whispered loudly enough, "Guess she's hoping Daddy left her a pity check." Her friend giggled behind a manicured hand. I took a seat near the back, feeling the air grow heavier around me. It was a performance, I realized. Belinda needed an audience, and humiliating me was her favorite act. She didn't just want me gone, she wanted me broken. As I sat there, fists balled tightly in my lap, I recorded every sneer, every whispered insult. I didn't flinch, I didn't cry, I became a wall. This humiliation will not define me, I told myself. It will fuel me. Across the room, Belinda caught my eye, smiling like a cat who thought she'd killed the canary. I smiled back, small, deliberate, knowing it would unsettle her. If she thought I was going to crumble, she didn't know me at all. Just then, the heavy oak doors creaked open. Alton Vance, the family lawyer, stepped inside carrying a thick leather folder. Conversations dropped off like a stone in a still pond. The will reading was about to begin. I lifted my chin, steadying my breath. Let them sneer. Let them mock. The storm was coming, and I was done hiding from it. The heavy doors groaned shut behind Alton Vance as he strode to the front of the grand hall, a thick folder in hand. In his immaculate black suit, every move was deliberate. The hum of whispers died into tense silence. Alton adjusted his glasses slowly. "Thank you all for coming," he said, voice even but loaded. "As executor of Russell K's estate, I will now read his final will and testament." My palms were damp against my dress, heart hammering so loudly it felt deafening. Alton opened the folder, retrieved a crisp document, and looked up, straight at me. "Russell K," he read, "leaves his entire estate, including all properties, businesses, and holdings, to his daughter, Tamara K." The words dropped like a bomb. For a beat, the room froze in stunned silence. Then came the gasps, the clatter of glass on marble. Someone swore under their breath. Belinda's wineglass shattered at her feet. "You have got to be kidding me," she hissed, her face twisted in fury. "This is a joke." Murmurs flared, curiosity souring into suspicion. A woman near the fireplace muttered, "She must have tricked him." "I demand a recount, or whatever you call it," Belinda snapped, storming toward Alton. "The will has been verified by multiple legal authorities," Alton said calmly. "It is binding." Belinda spun to face me, eyes blazing. "You wormed your way back into his life for this, didn't you? Pathetic." The room shifted, whispers sharpened. Then came the deeper cut, from someone I once trusted. Darla Keyes, my childhood friend, stepped forward, her voice loud enough to carry. "You all need to know. Tamara only showed up after she found out about Russell's money. She was never around before." I stared at her, stunned. Her face was all concern, but the satisfaction underneath was clear. "You don't deserve any of this," she finished, voice trembling with false grief. "You're just here for a payday." The air turned heavier, the walls of judgment closing in. Still, I didn't flinch. No tears, no denials. If they wanted a villain, they would get one. If they wanted a war, I would give it to them, on my terms. I met every accusing gaze without blinking. I wasn't going to break. Not now, not ever. The heavy silence after Darla's betrayal hung like fog, thick and unrelenting. Whispers started to weave through the grand hall again, suspicion blooming like a poisonous vine. I stayed rooted in my chair, the heat of 100 accusing stares pressing down on me. At the front, Alton Vance adjusted his tie, his face unreadable as he set the thick legal folder back on the table. A subtle tap of his knuckles against the wood silenced the murmuring crowd. His calm authority, so at odds with the chaos around us, gave me the faintest anchor to hold on to. Without preamble, Alton pulled out several documents, holding them high enough for all to see. "This," he said clearly, "is the original will, properly witnessed and notarized. Along with it are authenticated marriage certificates, bank records, and a collection of personal letters between Russell K. and his daughter, Tamara. There were a few scoffs, Belinda among them, but the weight of the documents seemed to press down harder than even her bravado could resist. And, Alton added, reaching into a side pocket of his briefcase, there is a video recording. He set a laptop onto the table, the screen blinking to life. A grainy video played, the date stamp showing 3 years earlier. There was Dad, Russell K., not the stern, intimidating man from family lore, but a man laughing, placing a hand on my shoulder, a rare tenderness in his face. The room watched in stunned silence as he introduced me proudly to a small gathering of friends. "This is my daughter," he said, voice rough but proud. "Took me too long to find her again, but blood doesn't lie." The gasp that rippled across the crowd was almost physical. Chairs scraped against the polished floor as some leaned in, needing to believe their own eyes. I watched Belinda's mouth tighten into a brittle line. She snapped, "Anyone can fake a video." But her voice wavered, stripped of its usual cutting confidence. Someone near her muttered, "Maybe we were wrong." And I caught Darla's eyes dart away from mine, her face paling. The tide was turning. Slowly, but it was turning. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I simply inhaled deeply, feeling, for the first time that day, that maybe I could breathe without drowning in shame. Still, a warning flared in the back of my mind. People like Belinda didn't surrender. They retreated, regrouped, and struck harder. This was only the first crack in their armor. I sat straighter, anchoring myself against the coming storm. The battle wasn't over, not even close. The first sign that Belinda wasn't done came exactly 7 days later, delivered in the form of a thick envelope slid under my lawyer's office door. I sat across from Cliff Rowe, my newly hired attorney, as he opened it with slow, precise fingers. His brow furrowed as he skimmed the contents. "She's suing you," he said flatly, "claiming fraud, manipulation, undue influence over your father." For a second, the room tilted slightly, but I caught myself before the feeling could root. I straightened my shoulders. "Of course she is," Cliff offered a grim smile. "They're going to weaponize the courts, smear you every way they can." "Let them," I said, my voice steady. "I'm not folding." The next few days blurred into meetings, depositions, strategy sessions. Belinda's team moved fast, feeding the press rumors and half-truths, painting me as a gold digger who preyed on a grieving old man. But what they didn't count on was that Cliff was faster. Late one evening, as the cicadas buzzed outside his office window, Cliff dropped a flash drive onto the conference table with a smirk. "You're going to want to hear this," he said. I clicked the file open. The recording crackled, then sharpened. Belinda's voice, sharp, calculating, filled the room. "We need to bury her credibility," she said. "I don't care what we have to fabricate. Tamara doesn't get a dime." Curtis Mon, one of Dad's old associates, chimed in. "I've got a guy who can forge medical records. Make it look like Russell was mentally incompetent." Leonard Cray added, "And I know someone who can fake a timeline." The blood drained from my face, but fury replaced it almost immediately. They weren't just attacking me, they were desecrating my father's memory. Cliff leaned back in his chair. "We've got enough here to not just shut down their lawsuit, but to hit them back twice as hard." My fists clenched in my lap. "Good," I said through gritted teeth, "because I'm done playing defense." We spent the next 48 hours preparing a counterattack. Cliff drafted a countersuit: defamation, malicious prosecution, conspiracy. "They underestimated me because I stayed quiet," I said, staring out the window into the night. "That ends now." The morning we filed our motion, I felt the shift in the air like the electric charge before a summer storm. For the first time, I wasn't reacting to their games. I was rewriting the rules. The court documents were barely dry when the whispers began. At first it was subtle, sideways glances at the grocery store, the sudden hush whenever I entered a coffee shop. Savannah wasn't a city that forgot scandals easily, and Belinda knew exactly how to pour poison into a small town's veins. 2 weeks after we filed the countersuit, I noticed the shift fully. Parents who once waved to me at school board meetings now pulled their kids a little closer. My mailbox filled with anonymous notes. some calling me a thief, others worse. In the halls of my workplace, conversations stuttered into awkward silence when I passed. Then came the suspension letter. Pending an internal ethics investigation, my position at the elementary school was frozen indefinitely. No hearing, no warning, just a cold piece of paper severing ties I'd worked years to build. "You know how this town works," Cliff said when I called him, trying to keep my voice from breaking. "Gossip moves faster than the truth. Stay steady." But steady was harder when even old friends avoided my eyes, when every social invite dried up like a riverbed in August. Belinda's whisper campaign had grown into a chorus. Local Facebook groups buzzed with half-truths and outright lies. That I seduced an aging man, that I manipulated him for his money. "Gold digger," they said. "User," they said. "Trash," someone posted under a photo of me volunteering at the community center. Each word was a cut, but none deep enough to reach the part of me that still remembered why I had fought in the first place. One night, after another silent dinner alone, I stared at my reflection in the kitchen window. Pale, tired, but still standing. This is what they want, I thought. They want me too humiliated to fight back. Instead, I picked up my phone and called Cliff. "Push the countersuit forward," I said, my voice clear. "I want depositions, subpoenas, whatever it takes." There was a pause. Then his voice, solid as stone. "Good. Let's finish this." Before bed, I logged onto my social media accounts. My hands shook slightly, not from fear, but from rage that had found its focus. I typed one sentence, simple and sharp as a blade. "The truth needs no defense, but the lies will crumble all the same." I hit post. Let them whisper. Let them scheme. The next fight wouldn't happen in the shadows. It would happen where they couldn't hide. The courthouse loomed ahead, its old brick facade stained by decades of storms. Perfect, I thought grimly, for the battle waiting inside. I stepped from Cliff's car, heels clicking with steady resolve across the pavement. He fell into step beside me without a word. Around us, reporters buzzed like gnats, but I didn't flinch. Let them take their pictures. Let them spin their headlines. Today, I wasn't here to survive their judgment. I was here to rewrite the narrative. Inside the courtroom, I could feel the weight of stares drilling into my back. Belinda sat across the aisle, her hair styled to perfection, her smile like a blade. Curtis Mann and Leonard Cray flanked her, oozing false confidence. The judge entered. Silence fell. Belinda's attorney launched into a tirade of accusations. Tamara preyed on an old man. Tamara manipulated Russell in his declining years. I sat still, letting the lies pile up. When it was Cliff's turn, he stood calmly and handed over the evidence, the real evidence. The courtroom monitors flickered to life. Belinda's voice poured out, cold and cutting. "We need to bury her credibility. I don't care what we have to fabricate." Gasps scattered like gunshots through the room. The judge's brows shot up. Jurors shifted uncomfortably in their seats. And then Cliff played the second clip, Curtis boasting about forging medical records, Leonard laughing about faking timelines. By the time the video ended, the energy in the room had shifted, thick with disbelief, outrage, and shame. Belinda's face twisted, desperate and cornered. She hissed to her lawyer, who hastily objected, but the judge waved him off. I felt the ground tilt in my favor, and I wasn't done. When it was my turn to testify, I rose without hesitation. I walked to the stand, each step a refusal to bow. My voice, when I spoke, was steady. I did not manipulate my father. I loved him. He reached out to me, not the other way around. He made his own decisions, and honoring those decisions is what I'm here to do. I met every eye without blinking. You don't get to erase a man's legacy just because you didn't like who he trusted. No theatrics, no tears, just truth, laid bare. By the time I finished, even the courtroom's air felt different, heavier somehow, like the weight of truth pressing down on everyone. The judge announced that the final ruling would be issued after reviewing all evidence in chambers. Postponed, but not denied. As I walked back outside into the warm Georgia sun, I felt the tension thrumming in my blood. The battle wasn't won yet, but for the first time, they had heard me, and they could never unhear the truth. A week later, the courthouse loomed before me again, but this time the tension wrapped tighter around my ribs. It was Judgment Day. No more delays, no more whispered accusations. Today, the truth would be carved into record. I sat rigid in my chair, every muscle taut. Across the aisle, Belinda barely concealed her panic, her fingers twisting the strap of her purse over and over. Cliff offered me a calm nod, the kind that said we did everything we could. The judge entered, robe billowing slightly behind him. He adjusted his glasses and cleared his throat. "In the matter of the estate of Russell K," he began, his voice even, "this court finds that the last will and testament is valid. Full inheritance rights are granted to Tamara K." A murmur rippled through the room, followed quickly by stunned silence. "And furthermore," the judge continued, steel creeping into his tone, "the lawsuit filed against Miss K by Belinda K is deemed malicious, without merit, and built upon fabricated evidence. Sanctions and penalties will be considered." I didn't move. I didn't blink. Inside, a dam broke quietly, flooding me with a tidal wave of vindication. Belinda shot to her feet. "She lied! She manipulated him!" she screamed, her voice shrill, cracking. "You're all fools if you believe—" Her lawyer tried to pull her down, whispering urgently, but she shook him off. The courtroom watched, frozen, as Belinda collapsed into wild accusations, her carefully maintained mask crumbling into desperate madness. People she'd once charmed now recoiled. Some averted their eyes. Others whispered behind cupped hands. Curtis Mon and Leonard Cray sat stone-faced, abandoned by the tide they thought they could control. I rose slowly. Not to gloat. There was no joy in watching someone self-destruct, but to breathe freely, to stand as someone who had survived. Cliff placed a hand lightly on my shoulder as I gathered my bag. "You did it," he murmured. "No," I whispered back. "We did." I walked out of that courthouse without looking back. The Georgia sun was high and warm, washing the world in gold. I tipped my face toward it, letting the light touch every battered part of me. This war was over. But my story, the one I would build on my own terms, was just beginning. A month passed before I returned to the K estate. The grandeur no longer felt imposing. It felt empty. Hollow halls, dust motes dancing in the sunlight, the faint smell of old leather and polished wood. This place had once been a fortress of power and secrets. Now, it was just a building. I moved slowly from room to room, trailing my fingertips across marble surfaces and velvet drapes. These things never mattered to me. They had been Belinda's battleground, not mine. My father's love, my worth, had never been measured in chandeliers or antique portraits. In his study, a place I had only been invited into once while he was alive, I found Cliff waiting with a small envelope in his hand. "He asked me to give you this," he said simply. I took it with reverence, my fingers trembling slightly. The handwriting on the front was unmistakable, bold, slanted, confident. Inside, a letter unfolded itself like a final embrace. "Tamara," it began, "I don't know if I'll ever be brave enough to say these words out loud, but you deserve to hear them. I am proud of you. Not because of anything you own, but because of who you are. I made mistakes, too many. I hope one day you'll forgive my absence. Whatever happens, live for yourself. Don't fight battles that aren't yours. Choose peace when you can. And know, no matter what anyone says, you were always my greatest decision." Tears slipped down my cheeks, but I didn't wipe them away. I pressed the letter against my heart, letting the words soak into the parts of me that had ached for so long. In the weeks that followed, I made my decision. I donated the vast majority of the estate's assets to educational charities across Georgia. Scholarships, libraries, community programs, things that would have made him proud. I kept nothing except a small, modest house near the river, where the sun hit the water just right in the early mornings. I didn't need chandeliers. I needed peace. People like Darla faded away, their absence barely a whisper in my new life. I held no malice toward them. Let them chase the next shiny thing. I was done playing in shallow waters. One evening, as the sky blushed pink and gold, I sat alone on a park bench overlooking the river. Children laughed in the distance. A dog barked joyfully somewhere out of sight. I closed my eyes and breathed deep. My father's love wasn't in what he left behind, I whispered to the breeze. It was always in me. The current of the river moved steadily forward, just like I would, from this moment on. Even after everything, the betrayals, the humiliation, the battles, I learned one unshakable truth. You don't have to become what others try to reduce you to. You can choose dignity when they choose cruelty. You can build peace when they sow chaos. And you can find strength not because life was easy, but because you decided you were worth the fight. I hope my story reminds you that no matter how heavy the past feels, it does not define your future. We are not the mistakes made against us. We are who we decide to become after. If you've ever faced injustice, betrayal, or been made to feel unworthy, know this: your worth was never up for debate. And now, I'd love to hear from you. If this story touched your heart, drop a 1-inch in the comments or tell me where you're watching from. If you felt differently, that's okay too. I'd love to know your thoughts and where in the world you're tuning in from. If you enjoyed this journey, please hit the subscribe button to follow more stories of strength, healing, and real life. Together, we're building a community that believes in truth, dignity, and second chances. Thank you for being here.
Hi everyone, my name is Carrie. This is the story of how I got rid of my horrible mother-in-law. To be honest, I'm not the only reason she was kicked out of our home. It was really her own behavior that got her thrown out. She almost got into trouble with the police if I hadn't stepped in to handle things. My mother-in-law, Elena, is a very difficult person. She doesn't like other women around her. Unfortunately for her, she had a daughter right after her son. To make things worse for her, her son Keith married me, an ambitious woman, despite her objections. From the start, Elena was rude and judgmental towards me. Keith and I met through a dating app, which Elena found scandalous. She said, "Why did you pick a woman from a dating app? Women like that usually cheat on their partners." Keith responded, "Mom, what's wrong with you? You can't say that about Carrie. She's a sweet girl and doesn't deserve your hate." I told Elena, "I'm not going to cheat on Keith. I love him, and we're thinking about getting engaged soon." Elena replied, "Oh my God, Keith, is this true?" Keith said, "Yes, Mom. I'm planning to propose soon. Carrie knows it's coming, but the rest is a surprise." Elena was furious. "She must be after your money, Keith. Why else would she want to marry you so quickly? This girl is not good for you." I said, "I'm not a gold digger, Elena. I earn a lot more than Keith right now. My job pays well, so I'll be financially secure for the rest of my life." That only made things worse. Elena became even more hostile after she found out I earned more. She often criticized me and suggested I'd be a bad wife because I worked. She thought working women were neglectful and disloyal. I couldn't understand why she always found something to complain about. So, I decided to talk to Keith's sister, Maxine. I said, "Maxine, I don't know why your mom hates me so much. No matter what I do, she always finds something to complain about." Maxine said, "Mom is like that, Carrie. She thinks girls are either gold diggers or worthless. It's crazy that she thinks that way, being a woman herself. She didn't even spare me. Mom neglected me and didn't help with my college expenses, but she paid in full for Keith." Keith said, "Maxine, you don't need to make Mom sound so bad. Yes, you had issues with her, but that doesn't mean she hates women." Maxine replied, "You've always been blind to her behavior, Keith. She was a good mom to you and spoiled you. You didn't see how she treated me." I added, "Keith, I think Maxine has a point. I wasn't there when you were teenagers, but I see how Elena is now. She dismisses Maxine's achievements all the time." Maxine said, "There's no point defending me, Carrie. Keith has always been biased about Mom. Watch out, Carrie. If Mom turns on you, Keith might take her side instead." Maxine and Keith started arguing about Elena's favoritism. It became clear to me that Keith was a bit blinded by his mother's loving behavior towards him. She was a very toxic woman, and I hated being around her. Maxine's words stayed with me. After Keith and I got married, I realized she was right. We should have started our married life as a couple, but Keith brought Elena along. When we announced our engagement, Elena quit her job and demanded we take care of her. She said she was getting old and needed us to look after her. Although I never liked her, I didn't say no because Keith wanted to take care of his mom. I had lost my parents in college, so I didn't have the heart to turn him down. Elena moved in with us and quickly became a nightmare. She constantly ordered me around and did nothing all day. When I came home from work, she'd say, "What took you so long, Carrie? Have you forgotten you're a married woman? There are plenty of chores left. Who will do everything?" "Elena, I had a late meeting and couldn't get home sooner. I can't leave work unfinished. And what about the work at home? Do you expect me to act like your servant? I will do everything now, and Keith will help out. It doesn't take long when two people work together," she said. Keith tried to defend me. "Mom, you don't have to shout at her. We will do everything together." "Absolutely not, Keith. Men don't do house chores. Your father never helped me. This is Carrie's job. If she can't balance work and house chores, she needs to leave her job or get a divorce. That's my mother-in-law for you. She hated everything I did and probably hated my very existence. Whenever I tried to talk to Keith about her, he'd shut me down. Mom is old and has conservative ideas. You don't have to take her seriously. She means no harm." "Are you kidding me, Keith? You're not the one on the receiving end of her insults. It's humiliating and exhausting. I can't take her words anymore." "Relax, you're overreacting. Mom can be cranky sometimes. I'll try to talk to her about her behavior. You have to be patient with her." Maxine was right. Keith rarely took my side. Yes, he did defend me sometimes, but mostly, he asked me to compromise. I was getting tired of his behavior. What made it worse was that I was paying a huge chunk of the household expenses because Keith was supporting Elena with his small salary. I felt disrespected and humiliated despite doing so much for Elena. The worst of Elena's behavior was yet to come. A little over a year after we got married, both Keith and I found job opportunities that would significantly increase our pay. We both got shortlisted and had to go through an interview process. Unfortunately, Keith's interview was delayed, but mine was scheduled soon. Elena hated this and said, "Carrie, you can't be thinking of taking that job. You don't need to go to the interview." Why wouldn't I take the job? It would raise my salary and be my dream job. You are a married woman, Carrie. You can't think about your job all the time. If you get the job, you'll earn more than Keith. How can you even think of earning more than your husband? That's so disrespectful. Mom, that's ridiculous. I'm proud of Carrie for getting such an amazing offer. I want her to get the job. This is her dream job. I don't care if she earns more than me, Keith said. Don't be so naive, Keith. She will start to financially abuse you, lose respect for you, and try to get rid of me. Don't let her go to the interview. I'm not stopping her, Mom. I don't mind all these things. You're overreacting. Leave her be. Elena, I've had enough of you treating me like this. It can't happen again. What I do with my life is none of your business. You don't have the right to comment on it. Elena never backed down. She tried everything to dissuade me from attending the interview, even saying I should support Keith because he couldn't interview for his job. By the time my interview date approached, I was very careful. I knew Elena would try to mess things up. On the day of the interview, I saw Elena walk into her study right after I left the room with my CV. I thought nothing of it, excited for my interview, and that Keith had finally gotten a call for his interview on the same day. He didn't tell Elena because he wanted it to be a surprise when he got the job. However, things came crashing down when I came home. Keith looked very sad. Keith, what's wrong? Did something happen at the interview? Carrie, I didn't get the job. Just look at my CV. They took one look and rejected me. What are you talking about, Keith? You have the perfect CV. There's no way they weren't impressed. Keith handed me his CV, and I was shocked. It wasn't his CV at all. It had my name and gender, but was full of false information that painted me in a bad light. I had no idea who made it or how it got mixed with Keith's CV. I could see why it created a bad impression and led to rejection. Keith was devastated. I don't understand this, Carrie. How did this happen? This isn't your CV either. It has awful things written on it. It can't be that I took yours instead. No, you didn't take mine, Keith. I had the original CV for the interview. That's how I got the job. If I had taken the one you have, they would have never given me the job. This is so bizarre, Carrie. I'm devastated that I lost my job because of this. I need to know how this happened. It's killing me. Seeing Keith in this state crushed me. He was looking forward to the job, and it pained him to lose it. I was confused about the fake CV Keith had. Then it clicked. It must have been Elena who switched the CVs. She had no idea Keith had an interview and was trying to sabotage mine but failed. I was filled with anger, but I stayed calm. I needed to show Keith what Elena was really like. So I said, Keith, you should ask Elena about this. I'm sure she'll have some interesting information for you. What do you mean, Carrie? What does Mom have to do with this? Well, remember how she didn't want me getting the job? I have a feeling she was trying to swap my CV with a fake one to ruin my chances. She probably thought your CV was mine. Keith was initially in denial, but as I explained what happened, he started to get suspicious. It was becoming clear to him that Elena might have been involved. He decided to call her. Mom, come here right now. I need to speak to you. Keith, what's wrong? Why are you shouting? Did you mess with my CV? Answer me truthfully. No. Why would I do that? What CV are you talking about? I don't understand. My CV, Mum, the one I was supposed to take to my interview today. What did you do with it? I didn't do anything to your CV. I didn't even know you had an interview today. Carrie was the one with an interview. At this point, Keith narrowed his eyes and began to suspect her. He asked, Mum, tell me the truth. Did you tamper with Carrie's CV? I already know what you did. There's no point in lying. I don't know what you're talking about. I would never do such a thing. Keith, I said, Elena knew I had an interview. She didn't replace your CV on purpose. She wanted to swap mine and ruin my interview. That's why your CV had my name and gender. Mom, do you have any idea what you've done? You replaced my CV and cost me a good job. I failed the interview because of you. What is wrong with you? It finally dawned on Elena that she had made a big mistake. She started to cry and said, Keith, listen to me. This was all a mistake. I never meant to hurt you. I thought only Carrie had an interview today. I was trying to protect you. Despite my warnings, you still tried to ruin her chances. Why are you so upset about that, Keith? Your wife shouldn't earn more than you. If she does, she'll take control of you and kick me out of your life. I did this for your good. Stop making yourself the victim, Mum. Have you no shame? Carrie didn't cost you the job. You did. You ruined his chance because you couldn't stand seeing me have a better job than him. Shut up, Carrie. This is all your fault. If you hadn't tried to get a better job than Keith, I wouldn't have had to do this. This mishap is all on you. If this is all Carrie's fault, Mum, I told her not to go for the interview. I had no choice but to stop her. I never wanted to hurt you, Keith. I just wanted her to get rejected. Keith was very angry at this point. Hearing Elena's nonsense made him even angrier. He had never been this furious with his mom before, finally understanding how cruel and manipulative she could be. Enough is enough, Mum. We brought you into our house and didn't take a penny from you. This is how you repay us. Have you no shame? You have to understand, Keith. Carrie pushed my buttons and forced me to do these things. She wants me out of your life. That's why she's blaming everything on me. My wife selflessly took you in without complaints. You started all the trouble. For months I ignored her concerns and took your side. Now I see I was wrong. I should have kicked you out sooner. How can you say that, Keith? You can't just kick out your mom. You don't mean this. Yes, I meant every word. Starting today, you are never welcome in our house again. We will give you a month's notice. After that, I don't care where you go, but you won't live with us. No, Keith, you can't do this. Carrie, you've destroyed my life. You're taking my son away? I will never forgive you. Don't blame me, Elena. You brought this upon yourself. I did not instigate anything. You destroyed your relationship with Keith all by yourself. You must be so happy. This is making you very happy, isn't it? I will not let you go, you witch! Elena shouted as she lunged at me, grabbing my hair and pulling hard at my scalp. Keith intervened, pulling her off me and yelling at her. He was furious, and his shouting made Elena cry uncontrollably. Keith threatened to press charges and kicked her out immediately. Elena didn't argue because she was afraid Keith would actually call the police. She left the house in her car. After Elena left, Keith started to calm down, but once his anger subsided, he burst into tears. The frustration from the interview and the situation with Elena had finally made him break down. Through his tears, he said, I'm so sorry, Carrie. I should have listened to you. I almost cost you your job because I didn't want to upset my mom. She just showed me how wrong I was about her. She attacked you for God's sake. I don't know how to face you. I'm ashamed. Don't say that, Keith. This is on Elena. Please don't blame yourself for what happened. I'm not happy about being validated at the expense of your job. I would rather it was me who lost the interview. No, I'm glad it was me. I was the one at fault. I should have kicked Mom out sooner. Don't worry, Carrie. After today, I won't ever allow Mom into our lives. She is unhinged and a toxic woman. I am done with her. He promised me that Elena would never come near us again. He also said he would contribute more to our household and cut off Elena financially. He realized it was unfair for me to pay most of our bills while he supported someone who hated me. Keith decided he wanted no contact with Elena anymore. Elena did try to get in touch with Keith, mostly to beg for forgiveness. She initially sent me some threatening texts, but after I warned her about calling the police, she backtracked and begged me for forgiveness as well. She knew she was stuck in a deep hole. Thanks to her, she ended up staying at Maxine's place. Maxine, knowing all about her antics, made her get a job to support herself and had no intention of letting her freeload. Maxine got her revenge too. It was only a matter of time before she kicked Elena out after pestering her for too long. Maxine's husband banned Elena from their house and told her never to return. Elena was forced to move to a different state to live with some relatives we barely know. I sent those relatives a nice email about Elena's behavior, which I found through Maxine. It's been over 8 months since the incident. Our families have gotten much closer without Elena's favoritism. Keith has apologized to Maxine for disregarding her feelings, and now they are very close. We hang out regularly. Keith has also enrolled in college to get a master's degree, which will help him get a better job in his field. With my current income, we are not having any trouble with money. Keith has always supported me in chasing my dreams, so it's only fair that I do the same for him. Elena's departure has actually made our lives better, and I hope it stays that way for years to come. Hey there, I'm Sabrina, and I have an incredible story to share. My husband Austin and I met 5 years ago at a charity event. We fell in love at first sight and started a wonderful journey together. We got married 2 years later and worked hard to build a comfortable life. Even though we worked long hours, we always made time for each other because we treasured every moment together. But then, something terrible happened. One night, I came home feeling really sick. My body felt weak and I couldn't think clearly. I thought it was just a bad flu that would go away with some rest and medicine. But as days went by, I got worse instead of better. Breathing became really hard, like something heavy was on my chest. I tried to take deep breaths, but it felt like I was suffocating. It was so scary being alone at home with no one to help right away. I managed to call Austin, even though my hands were shaking. "Baby, it's me. I need you to listen. I'm really scared. I'm not feeling well." "Darling, what's going on?" "I don't know. I can't breathe. I feel so weak and alone." "Stay calm. I'm on my way. Just lie down and try to take slow breaths. You're strong, and I believe in you. Help is coming." "I'm trying, but it's getting harder. Please hurry." "You're not alone. I'm doing everything I can to get there quickly. You need to stay strong for me. Take slow breaths and try to relax. Help is on its way, I promise." "Baby, I love you. Please don't let me go. I don't want to leave you." "Don't talk like that. You're going to be okay. Just keep holding on. I love you too, and I need you here with me. We'll get through this together, I promise. Just keep fighting." Austin didn't waste any time. He asked his friend to call an ambulance and rushed to get help. Every breath I took felt like it could be my last, and time seemed to slip away. Finally, after what felt like forever, I heard banging on my door. I was so weak that I could barely move, but I knew help had arrived. I let myself drift into darkness, hoping that the doctors and nurses would save me. It was such a scary moment, lying there, not knowing if I would survive. When I woke up, I found myself in a hospital room surrounded by white walls and the beeping of machines. To my relief, Austin was there, his eyes bloodshot from crying. "Austin, I'm so glad you're here. What happened? What did the doctor say?" "I'm always here, my love. The doctors are still doing tests to figure out what's wrong. They gave you medicine to help with the fever, but they need more time to find out the exact problem." "I'm so scared. I don't know how much longer I can handle this. What if it's something really serious?" "I know you're scared, love, but we have to stay strong and patient. The doctors are doing everything they can to figure out what's happening. We need to trust them and their knowledge. It's just not knowing what's wrong that's really hard. I don't want this to be life-threatening. I just want to be healthy again." "I want that too, my love. Remember, we're in this together. No matter what the doctors find, we'll face it together. I'll be right here supporting you through it all." "Thank you, baby." Days passed, and dread and hopelessness engulfed me. Austin wasn't allowed to be in the same room with me because they weren't sure of my condition. Nevertheless, he called me every morning and evening, faithfully checking on me. But the fear of the unknown weighed heavy on my heart, and I felt isolated. Finally, on the fourth day, the doctor approached me with a diagnosis. "Doctor, please tell me what's wrong with me. Did you find out what it is? The test results are back, and we have a diagnosis for you. It appears that you have contracted a rare form of tuberculosis." Tuberculosis? Does that mean I'm going to die? No, Sabrina, please stay calm. We caught it at the right moment, and there is a cure. With the right medication, we can treat it successfully. Oh, thank goodness. So it can be cured? Yes, after 3 weeks of taking the medication, you will no longer be contagious. However, you will need to continue taking the medication for the next 9 months to completely get rid of the bacteria. That's a relief to hear. Thank you, doctor. I'm so glad we caught it in time. But what about my husband, Austin? Is he at risk? We took precautions. Austin has been quarantined as a preventive measure, and we tested him for TB. Fortunately, his results came back negative. You can rest assured that he is not at risk. Thank you, doctor. I'm so grateful that Austin is safe. We'll get through this together. After my discharge from the hospital, I returned home feeling weak and vulnerable. The financial burden of the hospital bills and the costs of medications weighed heavily on Austin. He worked long hours to ensure we could make ends meet, leaving me in need of someone to take care of me during my recovery. It was then that Austin suggested his mother, Harriet, as a potential caregiver. "Baby, I get why you want your mom to help, but I'm not sure it's a good idea. We've always had problems, and I'm worried it could make things worse for both of us." "I know, darling. I get that you're worried, but she's our only family, and I trust her to take care of you. And believe me, it would make me feel better if someone I trust is looking out for you." "I know, but Harriet and I get along like fire and ice. What if her being here just adds more stress to everything? I don't think either of us will have the energy to deal with her shenanigans. I know our history with my mom hasn't been great, but she's still my mom, and I believe in giving her a chance. It would mean a lot to me if you could try to let her help us during this time." "Fine, baby. I know family is important to you. I'll do my best to put aside my worries and give Harriet a chance. We'll figure it out together, I suppose." The mere thought of depending on Harriet sent a wave of worry through me. Our relationship had always been strained, like two opposing magnets that repelled each other. Our personalities clashed and our differences seemed irreconcilable. I often felt judged and unsupported in her presence, as if my choices and opinions were constantly under scrutiny. Harriet's presence had a way of making me feel small and insignificant. Her remarks and comments were often laced with disapproval, leaving me doubting my worth. It seemed like no matter what I did, I could never meet her expectations or gain her acceptance. Our interactions were filled with tension and a constant undercurrent of unease. But at that moment, when I needed help the most, I felt trapped. I had no other family to turn to for support. My parents had passed away, and I had no siblings. The only other person who could have come to my aid was my best friend, Chelsea. I didn't want to burden her with my troubles, so with a heavy heart, I reluctantly agreed to let Harriet take care of me. I knew that accepting her help came with its own set of challenges. It meant putting aside our differences and finding a way to coexist for the sake of my recovery. It meant swallowing my pride and opening myself up to the possibility of disappointment once again. But I had no other choice. I needed someone to be there for me, even if it was someone as challenging as Harriet. Little did I know that the path ahead would be filled with frustration and disappointment. Harriet's assistance turned out to be far from what I had hoped for. Instead of providing the care and support I desperately needed, she seemed disinterested and negligent. I found myself navigating my recovery largely on my own, struggling to perform simple tasks while feeling utterly alone. Each day became a battle against my weakened body and the emotional toll of feeling abandoned by the person who was supposed to take care of me. I kept my silence, not wanting to burden Austin further with the added stress of our strained relationship. It was a lonely and disheartening time as I longed for compassion and understanding that seemed beyond Harriet's reach. One day, I needed help getting to the bathroom. I was feeling particularly weak and couldn't do much by myself. I called out to Harriet for help but was met with silence. Growing frustrated and desperate, I decided to take matters into my own hands. Using the support of various things in my room, I made it to the bathroom. Once I was done, I managed to get out only to be greeted by Harriet. At that moment, I felt a surge of anger course through me. "Why are you in my room? I already took care of the problem myself." I never wanted to take care of you in the first place. I'm sick and tired of having to be your caretaker when you're perfectly capable of doing it yourself. What do you mean by capable? Don't you see how much I'm suffering? Suffering? You don't know the meaning of suffering. I've had enough of this. I'm packing my bags and leaving. My heart broke at that moment. Why was she being so cruel to me? Couldn't she see how much I was suffering? I couldn't bring myself to say anything because I was still reeling from the shock of her words. I tried to protest, but my legs gave out from under me. She just looked at me with disdain and, instead of offering aid, Harriet abandoned me, leaving me there. I lay on the cold, hard floor, sobbing uncontrollably, my heart shattered. Hours later, I awoke to Austin's frantic shaking. My body was trembling, and my temperature had soared. Austin rushed to get me back onto the bed, administering my medications with a mix of concern and anger. Where is my mother, darling? What happened? I don't know how to say this, but she left. I called to her to help me get to the bathroom for half an hour before I finally dealt with it myself. Then, when I was done, she came into my room and said such cruel things to me. She told me she never wanted to take care of me and that she was done. I can't believe she would do that. I'm so sorry, my darling. I can't believe my mother would treat you this way. It's not fair to you, especially after everything you've been through. You don't have to apologize for anything, my dear. I can't understand why she would be so cruel. I'm sorry for burdening you with this. My love, you were never a burden to me. I love you, and I hate to see you hurt. I'll talk to my mother and make sure she knows how unacceptable her behavior was. You deserve better, and I promise to stand by you through it all. Thank you, baby. In a desperate attempt to find help, Austin called my best friend Chelsea, and she agreed without hesitation to care for me for the next week. With Chelsea by my side, my recovery progressed smoothly. Finally, I regained my health and decided it was time to address Harriet's situation. Just as I resumed my job, Austin called me with startling news. His mother, Harriet, had been involved in a car accident, breaking both her legs and an arm. I asked Austin what we were going to do, and he admitted he didn't know. Harriet lived alone, and there was no one else to care for her. At that moment, a decision crystallized in my mind. I would be the one to take care of Harriet. When I arrived at the hospital to pick up Harriet, she snapped at me, demanding to know when Austin would come to look after her. I smiled calmly and explained that I would be her caretaker since Austin was too overwhelmed with work. Harriet's shock was evident as she realized the tables had turned. As I cared for Harriet, I made sure her life was just a little more inconvenient, a gentle reminder of the pain she had inflicted upon me. These inconveniences were minor, not harmful, but infuriating. For example, I knew how picky Harriet was with her food, so some days I would purposely cook dishes I knew she hated or oversalt her food a little. Whenever she settled down to watch her favorite TV show, I would misplace the remote, causing her to call me to help find it, but I would conveniently be busy with a chore at that moment. Sometimes, I adjusted the volume just slightly, forcing her to strain her ears or reach for the remote she had finally found. It was a small act, but it spoke volumes about the power of inconvenience. In the mornings, when she craved a steaming cup of coffee, I would accidentally use her favorite mug and leave it unwashed. She would have to settle for a different cup or spend time cleaning her treasured mug. These small disruptions might seem trivial, but they served as a reminder that actions have consequences and thoughtlessness can lead to inconvenience. I also made sure that the items she needed were just slightly out of reach. If she desired a book from the shelf, I would place it a little higher, prompting her to stretch or ask for assistance. It was a subtle way of reminding her that dependence on others requires humility and gratitude. While these actions may have seemed petty, they allowed me to regain a sense of power and control. It allowed me to assert myself and emphasize the importance of compassion and understanding in our interactions. Harriet began to experience firsthand the frustration she had subjected me to during my illness, and perhaps she started to understand the consequences of her behavior. Through these subtle inconveniences, I hope to create an environment where Harriet could reflect on her actions and recognize the value of empathy. I wanted her to realize that it is our responsibility to treat others with kindness, especially when they are vulnerable or in need. As the weeks turned into months, Harriet's physical injuries began to heal. But something unexpected happened. Instead of showing any growth or empathy, she began to display entitlement and dissatisfaction with the care I provided. She called Austin, complaining that I wasn't taking good care of her. Concerned by his mother's complaints, Austin came over that night and asked her what was going on. Mom, I heard you've been complaining about Sabrina not taking good care of you. What's going on? Austin, let me tell you, she's been doing a terrible job. I can't believe I have to rely on her. She's been so neglectful. Well, I understand you're frustrated, but let's not forget how you treated Sabrina when she needed you. She stepped up to care for you despite your differences. She showed compassion and support even though it wasn't easy for her. Well, she should have done better. I don't see why I have to be grateful for her help. You should have done better for her too. With the way you treated her, I'm surprised she didn't cause you any harm. A little neglect from her is better than her abandoning you, isn't it? I didn't realize. It's time to acknowledge Sabrina's efforts and be grateful for what she did for you. If you're going to be disrespectful and unappreciative, then maybe you should find help on your own, just like you made us do for Sabrina. With that, Harriet scoffed and turned her head away, throwing a tantrum like a child. While Austin may have entertained it earlier, he got sick of always playing to his mother's demands. He grabbed my hand, walked out the door, and drove us back home. While I didn't expect Austin to stand up for me, I was beyond grateful that he did. It felt good to have the man I love reciprocate his love for me in such an obvious manner. In the days that followed, Harriet's absence became palpable. She didn't reach out to us, and we didn't make any attempts to contact her either. We wanted to give her space to reflect on her actions and determine if she was truly ready to change. Through a chance encounter with one of Harriet's neighbors, Austin learned that she had hired someone to assist her. However, it became apparent that the hired help was treating her in the same dismissive and neglectful manner that Harriet had treated me. Austin and I learned of this with a mix of disappointment and understanding. We had hoped that our experiences would have opened Harriet's eyes to the importance of compassion and empathy, but it became evident that true transformation is a personal journey that cannot be forced upon someone. In the end, we made the conscious decision not to intervene. Our focus shifted toward nurturing our relationship and building a life filled with love, understanding, and support. We chose to create a space where forgiveness and growth could thrive rather than dwell on the past or engage in further confrontations. As the days turned into months, Harriet became a distant memory. The wounds she had inflicted upon us slowly faded, replaced by the joy and fulfillment we found in our renewed bond. Life presented us with new opportunities, and we embraced them wholeheartedly. Hi, I'm Asha, and I'm 67 years old. Let me tell you the story of my life. After my husband passed away, I moved into my son's house. In some cultures like India, China, and Saudi Arabia, it's common for parents to live with their children, especially if they're sick or widowed. I think this tradition is beautiful, but things are different in America. My son Ahmed is married to a woman named Natalia. While he thinks she's wonderful, I have my doubts. I watched her closely and felt she was only interested in my son's money, which really upset me. I tried to warn Ahmed, but love can make people blind. Whenever I said, "Mama knows best," he ignored me, insisting that Natalia truly loved him. Ahmed is stubborn like me, and I knew he wouldn't believe the truth until he experienced it himself. So, I stopped telling him Natalia was bad news. It hurt to see him being deceived, but sometimes people need to hit rock bottom to see reality. My late husband was a wealthy businessman, and we owned several properties, including the house Ahmed lives in now. It was a birthday gift to him when he turned 25, but technically, it's a family house since all three of our names are on the deed. Ahmed seemed to have forgotten that. I'm sure Natalia thought the house belonged only to Ahmed, so she felt entitled to treat me poorly. Her presence made things worse as I had to endure her rudeness and watch my son struggle to handle her. Living with someone you don't like is hard. Natalia didn't hide her disdain for me and often questioned why I was in the house, as if I were an intruder in my own son's home. I mostly kept my composure, but it wasn't easy. I got used to her rudeness, but sometimes she made things even harder, like ruining my laundry on purpose, ignoring me when I needed help, and cooking bad food for me when Ahmed wasn't around. I don't let people walk all over me, so I confronted Natalia about her behavior. I wanted her to understand, but she acted innocent, like this. "Natalia, we need to talk. I've noticed your disrespectful behavior towards me. It's time we address this issue." "Oh, Aisha, what do you mean? I've always treated you with the utmost respect." "Don't play games with me, Natalia. Your actions speak louder than words. I demand an explanation. What is your problem with me? You're just being overly sensitive, Aisha. I'm sorry if you feel that way, but I assure you I have no ill intentions. Enough is enough, Natalia. I won't tolerate your behavior any longer. You will respect me in our home, or there will be consequences. Our home? I'm sure you mean your son's home. This isn't your home, Aisha. You need to get that through your head. Without dignifying her disrespectful behavior with a response, I immediately went to Ahmed to talk about the situation. I was quite upset, and my voice may have been loud. Ahmed tried to calm me down, but I wasn't ready to listen. I wanted Natalia to leave the house. Mama, please let's talk calmly. There's no need to get so worked up. Worked up? Ahmed, your wife is driving me crazy. I can't live like this anymore. She ruins my belongings, ignores my requests, and disrespects me at every turn. How can you let your mother be treated like this? You have to divorce that witch. Mother, you and I both know divorce is not an option for us. I don't want to bring shame to our family. We can work things out, I promise. Work things out? Ahmed, sometimes it's better to cut ties with a leech rather than let it drain the life out of you. Our happiness and well-being should be a priority. Tension filled the room, making the atmosphere heavy. Ahmed struggled to find the right words, torn between his love for Natalia and his loyalty to our family. I could see the conflict in his eyes, but I knew deep down that he cherished our mother-son bond. Despite my frustration, I took a moment to compose myself. I realized that pushing Ahmed further could strain our relationship even more. I needed to find another approach to handle this situation to protect my son without causing irreparable damage. The following day, Ahmed called both Natalia and me to the living room to discuss our issues. He expressed his concern about the growing hostility between us and emphasized that the constant arguing needed to stop. Natalia, in her usual dramatic manner, started crying and claimed that living with me had been incredibly challenging because she felt unappreciated. I couldn't help but roll my eyes at her fake tears. I knew she was trying to manipulate Ahmed and portray herself as the victim. I spoke up, unafraid to express my thoughts. Stop with the theatrics, Natalia. Your tears won't fool me. You're crying to pull at Ahmed's heartstrings, but I see right through your act. Ahmed, frustrated by the tension, pleaded with me to stop being unkind to Natalia. However, I stood my ground firmly, stating that Natalia was nothing but a manipulative person after his wealth and that he should seriously consider ending his marriage. Seeing an opportunity, Natalia started crying even harder, which caused Ahmed to raise his voice at me for the first time. He threatened to make me leave if I couldn't behave respectfully. My heart sank as his words stung me deeply. I couldn't believe how much Natalia had influenced him. Feeling a mix of anger and sadness, I impulsively stood up and slapped Ahmed across the face. The room fell silent as tears filled my eyes. Wow, Natalia has truly changed you, hasn't she? You never would have spoken to me like this if she wasn't here. I hope you're happy with yourself. Overwhelmed, I retreated to my room, frantically searching for the important documents left behind by my late husband. I needed to find the title deed of the house, which clearly stated that the house belonged to me, Ahmed, and his father. There was also a clause stating that if Ahmed acted rudely or disrespectfully, he would lose ownership of the house. You see, Ahmed used to be a troublesome and spoiled child. Both his father and I wanted to teach him about responsibility, so we decided to give him a house that he had to take care of. We added the clause about disrespect because we anticipated that Ahmed might lose his privileges within a year. We hoped for the best but prepared for the worst, which is why that clause was included. To our surprise, Ahmed had been responsible and maintained ownership of the house since his 25th birthday. However, that clause still held weight, and now I had to consider whether it was time to remind Ahmed of his responsibilities and the consequences of his actions. As I searched through the papers, my heart raced. Revealing this clause would undoubtedly have serious repercussions on our relationship, but I couldn't stand idly by while Natalia manipulated and controlled my son. I needed to protect him, even if it meant taking drastic measures. After hours of searching, I finally found the papers confirming the validity of the clause in the title deed. It didn't specify a time limit, which meant it remained in effect. Holding on to this information, I decided to wait for the right moment to disclose it, strategically planning my next steps. Meanwhile, I came up with another plan to expose Natalia's true nature to my son. Inspired by the true crime shows I had been watching, I decided to record my conversations with Natalia. I purchased a small recorder specifically for such moments, ensuring that I had evidence to support my claims. Mama always fights smart, my friends. A week passed, and the house was filled with uncomfortable silence and tension. The atmosphere was suffocating, and it felt like everyone was tiptoeing around. But I knew Natalia's downfall was imminent. I just needed the perfect opportunity to present itself. Then one day, I sensed that something was off, and sure enough, Natalia was the cause. Unexpectedly, she entered my room, radiating an unsettling energy that my intuition couldn't ignore. My heart raced with anticipation, and discreetly, I pressed the record button on my hidden device. I was ready to capture her true intentions. Natalia approached me with false confidence and said, "I think it's time for you to go." I maintained my composure, hiding my excitement behind a calm expression. Deep down, I knew this was the moment I had been waiting for. With the recorder capturing every word, I responded with a smile, careful to choose my words wisely. "Oh, Natalia dear, what makes you say that? Face it, old lady, you're ruining my plan." "What plan?" "I plan to take all of your son's money." "Duh, so I was right when I said you were a gold digger." "Some call it a gold digger, others call it being opportunistic." Tomato, tomato. "Wow, so these are your true colors, huh? Fascinating. You never respected me." "Why would I? I could see right through you the moment you walked into my son's life." "I guess game recognizes game, huh?" "Oh, please, you think you and I are the same?" "Of course. Why else would you marry such a wealthy man?" "Because I loved him, Natalia. That's something you know nothing about, and you dare to come here and talk like a crazy person. Why are you acting as if I won't expose you to my son?" "Because I have something important to tell you, Aisha. You thought I was joking when I said it was time for you to go. Little do you know." "Spit it out, Natalia. I'm getting sick of your games. Pack your bags. I've convinced my dear old hubby to put you in an old age home." Natalia began to laugh somewhat manically. "I told you she was a witch." I let her enjoy her moment of glory because I knew that in a few seconds it would all come crashing down. Noticing my lack of response, she asked, "Why aren't you weeping?" "Did you hear me, you old hag? You're going to be locked up in a retirement home until you join your husband." "I heard you, sweetie. Don't worry." "Don't you want to know how I got Ahmed to agree?" "Well, if you must tell me. After your little scene last week, I started convincing Ahmed that you were slowly losing your mind." "What, because I slapped him?" "Yeah, well, he seems to disagree. After I told him that the behavior was not normal and that you were slowly becoming psychotic due to old age. And he believed you. I can be pretty convincing when I want to be. I told him that you also lost your mind when you lost your husband, and that's why you've been mean to me. So you see, Aisha, you're no longer going to be living here. Once you're gone, it will be easy for me to sink my claws deeper into your son. By the time I am done with him, you all will have nothing." Again she finished her statements as if she had truly won, but little did she know. "Nice try." "What do you mean, nice try? I've already won. I've got to say, if I didn't hate you so much, I might have commended your antics." "Why are you acting like that? You should be shaking right now." "What, you thought I was going to cry? You think that I'm as spineless as you?" "I don't even know what that means." "Of course you don't. Girls like you don't even bother trying to expand your knowledge. You just rely on being a leech to get by, which is disgusting and pathetic." "How dare you? I'm going to tell Ahmed that you hit me, and then you'll be kicked out for sure." "Oh, Natalia, you still don't get it." I approached her and slapped her. "Go ahead, tell him. At least he'll be telling the truth this time." You slapped me. I can get you arrested." "I dare you to try, especially after what I have to reveal to you. Because when I'm done, you'll regret all the things you've said here." I revealed everything to Natalia, telling her that this entire conversation was being recorded to expose the truth. I also told her that she had no right to even attempt to kick me out of the house, considering that I was part owner. "Pack your bags, Natalia, because you're no longer welcome in my house." To my surprise, she fainted in shock. Hearing her plans unravel before her eyes, coupled with the impact of our conversation, was too overwhelming for her. As I gazed at Natalia lying unconscious on the floor, a complex mix of satisfaction and disappointment washed over me. I felt satisfied because I finally had the evidence necessary to expose her true nature, but at the same time, I was deeply disappointed that my son had fallen prey to her manipulations. Ahmed rushed into the room, drawn by the loud thud, his face filled with panic as he tried to revive his wife. Despite the chaos, I remained composed. "Mama, what did you do?" "Ahmed, I know you're upset, but please." You're crazy. Aisha was right about you. I should have put you in a home sooner. You're losing your mind. Oh, stop that. Will you put her in the recovery position and come to me? She'll be fine. I already called the ambulance. Ahmed reluctantly stopped panicking and came over to me. There's something you need to see and hear. Still in a state of shock, he looked at me with a mix of confusion and concern. What are you talking about, Mama? We need to get Natalia to the hospital. We can't just leave her here. Just as Natalia regained consciousness, confusion and fear crossed her face as she struggled to grasp what was happening. Before she could utter a word, I pressed the play button on the recording device, allowing the incriminating conversation to fill the room. Natalia's lies, schemes, and true intentions were exposed for Ahmed to hear. As the recording played, shock transformed into anger on Ahmed's face. The weight of Natalia's deception sank in, and he directed his gaze at her, a mixture of disappointment and fury evident across his face. How could you do this, Natalia? All the lies, the manipulation. I trusted you, and you played me. Natalia, fully aware of the evidence stacked against her, struggled to come up with a believable response. Her attempts to make excuses faltered in the face of the undeniable truth. Ahmed's voice trembled with a mixture of concern for Natalia and his growing anger as he shouted at her. I watched him, feeling a combination of sympathy and determination in my heart. Ahmed, my son, I'm sorry it all had to come to this. The paramedics arrived and transported Natalia away, despite her hurling insults at me and desperately pleading for Ahmed to take her back. A counterintuitive reaction, I must admit. I understood that the journey ahead would be difficult for Ahmed. However, I firmly believed that he needed to learn these lessons on his own. Just as I had hoped, the house, a symbol of responsibility, would remain in our possession, patiently awaiting Ahmed's personal growth and maturity. Can I say it? Ahmed asked. Say what? I told you so. Yeah, I guess you can. I think I'll hold on to it for now. I can see you're hurting. I loved her, Ma. I know, baby, I know. I guess you were right. You really do know best. At that moment, I felt a huge sense of relief and hope. The truth had come out, and though we had some healing to do, I knew we would come out of it stronger. I had faith that my son would understand the importance of making wise choices and treating others with love and respect. I also made up my mind to remove my name and his father's name from the title deed. Ahmed had proven himself to be a responsible and honorable son despite all the challenges we faced. Natalia, after her hospital visit, was physically fine. The doctor said her fainting was due to shock and stress, but despite that, she persisted in trying to win back Ahmed by showing up at the house whenever she pleased. Luckily, I was there to protect Ahmed from her manipulations. I made sure she never set foot in the house again. I knew Ahmed was vulnerable, and I didn't want him to fall for her tricks and let her back into his life. I was determined to shield him from any further heartbreak. Amidst all the chaos, I decided it was time to address the house ownership issue. I reminded Ahmed about the clause in the original title deed that required him to be respectful to keep ownership. But I also wanted to give him a fresh start, a symbolic gesture of leaving the past behind. So, I handed Ahmed a new title deed with only his name on it. I told him he deserved it after going through so much pain and turmoil. Tears filled Ahmed's eyes as he realized the significance of this gesture, recognizing his growth and strength. We hugged each other, and at that moment, all the bitterness and tension melted away. Ahmed looked at me with a slight smile and said, "You still haven't apologized for slapping me." I chuckled, realizing that our bond had weathered the storm. "Do you want me to put my name back on the title deed?" We shared a heartfelt laugh. In the end, things worked out great for Ahmed and me. Our bond became even stronger, and he learned some valuable lessons about love, trust, and being smart about who to trust. As for Natalia, she kept trying to win Ahmed back, but he stayed strong in his decision to move on without her. Life went on, and Ahmed thrived, building a new life full of happiness and success. Natalia, well, she had to face the consequences of her choices and slowly became a distant memory. And as for me, I stood by my son's side, proud of the amazing man he had become. We were grateful for our strength and the love that carried us through it all. Hey there, I'm T. I recently went through a divorce and wanted to share my story. I hope it might help someone in a similar situation. Here's some background. My parents split when I was 7 because my dad was a Navy SEAL and was often away. My mom remarried a man named Paul, and I lived with them. Unfortunately, Paul was abusive, and my mom knew but did nothing about it. She just ignored what was happening. My dad would visit sometimes, and I'd spend weekends with him, but I was too scared to tell him about the abuse. I was very close to my dad. He made me feel important and loved. One time, when I was almost done with middle school, I went to the beach with my dad. He noticed bruises on my thighs and asked about them. At first, I tried to brush it off, saying I got hurt in PE, but he pressed me on it, and I finally told him the truth. Paul hit me, and my mom didn't do anything to stop it. My dad was furious and said I would stay with him from then on. He dealt with everything and got full custody of me. I moved in with him, and it was much better. When he was away for work, I stayed with my aunt nearby. My mom apologized and tried to reconcile at first, but eventually she cut me off. I wasn't as close to her as I was to my dad anyway. I went to medical school, became a cardiologist, and my dad and aunt were very proud of me. I'm not very outgoing, but I have a few close friends. As a doctor, I needed to be warm and approachable, so I worked on becoming more extroverted. To my surprise, I got pretty good at it. I met my husband, Justin, at a karaoke bar, which I wouldn't usually go to, but it was a friend's birthday. So we went to the karaoke bar. Justin happened to be there too, and he needed a partner for time of my life. Since I had mentioned to my friends that Justin was cute, they pushed me to join him. It turned out to be a really fun night. We exchanged numbers and kept getting to know each other. We started dating, and I introduced him to my dad after a while. My dad liked him right away because Justin had a naturally likable personality. He worked as a marketing assistant in the corporate world and gave me the love and care I had lacked before my dad stepped in. He was composed and well-rounded, and he expressed a desire to start a family. Just 1 year into our relationship, he took me back to the same karaoke bar where we first met and proposed. "I think it's time for us to start the family we've always talked about," he said. "What do you mean, babe?" I asked. "Tanya, there's something I've been wanting to ask you for a while now." "What is it, Justin?" "Well, when we first met at that karaoke bar, I had no idea I was meeting the love of my life. You have brought so much happiness and warmth into my life, and I can't imagine spending it with anyone else. Will you marry me?" "Oh, baby, yes." I'll be honest, while some people might find it perfectly okay to get married within a year, for me and the emotional walls I had built over time, it felt a bit early. I said yes at the moment but had many thoughts about it afterward. I loved Justin deeply, but I was afraid that if I asked for more time, he might consider ending our relationship, so I decided to go along with it. We had a very private wedding ceremony. I invited my mother, but she didn't show up, which was somewhat disappointing because, after all, she was my mother. However, my dad was there, and I was immensely grateful for his presence. He walked me down the aisle, and I was officially married to Justin. A year into our marriage, we were blessed with a beautiful baby girl. I remember after my delivery, the room was filled with balloons and flowers as everyone came to visit, my dad, Justin, and his parents. As a new mother, I decided to take some time off work to be with my daughter. That early time with Amanda was incredible, and I still cherish every moment of her babyhood. There's truly nothing as beautiful as bringing a child into this world. It is a testament to the wonders of life. Justin was working during this time, but eventually, I had to return to my job. Justin was something else when it came to being a dad. He was super playful and gentle with our daughter. He would even let her put makeup on his face. He was a real sweetheart as a dad. But here's the thing. With both of us having to go back to work, we decided to hire a nanny to look after Amanda. She was a little bundle of energy, and we wanted her to have the best care while we were away. After some time, I got pregnant again, and then came the big surprise. The doctor revealed that I was not just expecting one more addition to our family, we were having twins. It wasn't exactly what we had planned for, but it sure brought a lot of joy into our lives. Little did we know that with the arrival of our children, the dynamics of our marriage were about to shift. Justin wasn't thrilled that I earned more than him. He didn't openly discuss it with me, but I sensed his feelings when our friends Carrie and Dylan came over for dinner during my 3rd trimester. "So, how are you guys feeling about the babies on the way?" Carrie asked. "Oh, we are excited, a little nervous, but mostly excited," I replied. "Speaking of babies, have you guys thought about names yet?" Dylan chimed in. "Yes, we've been brainstorming. We want something unique but not too out there, you know?" I said. "Any favorites so far?" Kara asked. "We've been tossing around a few ideas, but we haven't settled on anything yet," Justin added. How about family names? Those can be really meaningful, Dylan suggested. Absolutely. We've been researching strollers that can accommodate multiple babies. It's been overwhelming, but we'll figure it out, Justin said. It's amazing how much stuff you need for 2 babies, right? Carrie said. Tell me about it. Our checklist keeps getting longer, Justin replied. Tanya, do you miss being at work? Kara asked. A bit. Being a doctor is tough, but when you treat people and help them, it feels so good to see their smiles, I said. Wow, a corporate worker and a doctor. Do you even manage to find time to make all these babies? Dylan joked. Come on, Justin. I'm pretty sure your wife must be the money bag in the house, you know. Dylan said. Well, you know how it is, Dylan. I actually earn more than Tanya, Justin said with a smile. Let's bring out the dessert, I quickly interjected. I could not believe what Justin had said. Why would he lie about something like that? After Dylan and Carrie left while we were doing the dishes, I finally decided to talk to him about it. Justin, can we talk for a moment? I asked. So, what's on your mind? Justin asked. You said you earn more than me, but that's not true, is it? I replied. No, it's not true, Justin admitted. Why on earth would you lie about something like that? I don't know, I guess I was just embarrassed. It felt awkward. Embarrassed. I had no idea this was such a sensitive topic for you. I am not sensitive, I'm a man, and I should be the one in charge. You've never complained about it before. What has got you so worked up now? I just don't want people to think I'm some kind of loser, okay? Justin, if it works for us, it works for us. Who cares what other people think? Yeah, whatever. Justin's response left me feeling uncomfortable. It came across as somewhat misogynistic. What was the problem if our arrangement worked for us? I never had an issue with having a husband who contributed less financially. After all, money is not what keeps a family together. At that point, I had a lot on my plate, so I did not dwell on it too much. 2 months later, the big day finally arrived. My pregnancy had been complicated, but eventually, I gave birth to twin baby boys. I held my precious little boys, Abby and Leon, with both hands in the hospital bed. Our family feels complete, baby. You've made me the happiest man alive. I love you, Justin said. It was not all me, babe. Amanda, look at your baby brothers. Aren't they so cute? Baby brothers, Amanda exclaimed. Yes, sweetheart. Do you want to sit next to Mom? Yes. Say hello to your baby brothers, Amanda. Hi, Amanda said, giggling. At that moment, I felt an overwhelming contentment with my life. I dreamed of being the best mom to all my kids, something I had never gotten from my mother. My deepest desire was to provide them with everything they wished for and shield them from all the bad things in the world. Soon, I took the babies home, and we had the whole nursery set up for them. Justin and I both took some time off work. While Justin eventually returned to the office, I didn't, and things got really tough at home. Juggling the care of the babies and Amanda, we were in a tight spot financially, and things weren't exactly rosy. I had a strong desire to give my family the best of everything, and I had the means to do so, but we also needed a parent at home to take care of the kids. It was a challenging situation, and we needed to find a way to make it work. The issue was the significant income gap between us. Justin brought in only $30,000 a year, while I earned $150,000 a year. From my perspective, it made sense for me to continue working. I had a good career in a well-paying job with the potential for salary growth. I thought I would talk things out with Justin, and he would understand my viewpoint, but things did not go my way. We had just had dinner, and Justin and I were in the twins' room to check up on them. 3 kids. We always planned for 2, but I'm not complaining. They're so cute, Justin said. Yeah, they are. Well, I want to talk to you about something, I replied. Sure, what's on your mind? We need to secure all our kids' futures, you know? I might be thinking too far ahead, but we can provide them with better opportunities. We can even help them with their college if they need it. You're right. If I continue with my job, we can save more. And if I work for a few more years, I'll likely get a raise. That would be amazing, but who will stay with the kids at home while we are working? What if you quit working and stay home to take care of the kids? What? Are you kidding me? No, you get along with them so well. What I mean is, I'm the man of the house. Just because you have a higher paying job does not make you the decision maker. Justin, are you kidding me? Can't you see we would have a better life if I went to work instead? Seriously, is your ego that fragile that taking care of the kids makes you think you're less of a man? Justin looked really furious, something I had never expected. He raised his hand and slapped me across the face. How dare you say that to me? You're trying to be the boss, aren't you? Just stay within your limits, do what you're asked to do, and more importantly, listen to me. Justin left the room, leaving me standing there in shock. It brought back memories of Paul. I was utterly stunned. How could my husband, the father of my children, someone I thought was the love of my life, do this to me? I am not suggesting all men are the same, but some are incredibly insecure about their masculinity, and I was devastated to realize Justin was one of them. I felt a mix of anger, sadness, and most of all, fear. I was scared to be around Justin, unsure of what he might do if I made another wrong move. That night, I could not sleep. I spent it on the couch, contemplating my options. I knew I needed to get out of this marriage, not just for my sake, but for the kids as well. I had been through a similar situation when I was young with my mom's husband, Paul. My dad had taught me well after that, showing me how a real man should treat women. Then one of the twins started crying on the baby monitor, and it hit me. We had the baby monitor in the twins' room, and it must have recorded everything that had happened. I had solid proof. The first thing I did was extract the footage, and I got what I needed. Then an idea began to form in my mind. I waited until morning, making sure Justin and the kids were still asleep. Then I made a call to my dad. Good morning, Bunny. Hey, Dad, you're calling me so early today. Is everything all right? No, Dad. Something happened last night. I need help. Are you safe, honey? What happened? Yes, for now. Well, last night Justin and I argued, and things got out of hand. He slapped me. What? How dare he? Why did you wait all night to call me? I did not know what to do, Dad. Sweetheart, remember what I have always said. I'm here for you whenever you need me. I mean it. Well, Dad, the thing is, all of this happened while we were in the twins' room, and it got recorded on the baby monitor. Bingo. We have proof. We're going to get that bastard. I know some people in law enforcement. Honey, stay put. Where is Justin right now? He's still sleeping. Why don't you send me that video and get the kids? I'm coming. I woke up Amanda and gathered the twins, hastily packing a bag for them. I forwarded the recording to my dad, and anxiously I waited in the living room. Just 15 minutes after the phone call, there was aggressive knocking on the door. As I approached the door, I could hear Justin coming down the stairs. Who's at the door and why are the babies here? What's going on? Open the door. It's the police. The police? Who called them here? Justin rushed down the stairs, and as he did, I opened the door. The first person to enter the house was my dad, and he hugged me tightly. Thank God, honey. You were safe. I'm so sorry. Thanks for being here, Dad. You're under arrest for assaulting your wife. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be provided for you. Is this about last night? You got this all wrong. It was just a big misunderstanding. The police officer handcuffed him. Get these things off me. I said, oh, you're going to pay for this. I promise you. I will break your jaw if you ever speak to my daughter like that again. Consider yourself lucky that I did not handle this myself. Take him, officer. My dad drove me and the kids to his place. Both Justin and I hired attorneys, and there was a lot of courtroom drama. Surprisingly, his criminal record included a bar fight where the other person ended up hospitalized for a month. I had no idea of this. As a result, Justin was sentenced to 3 months in jail. I sent him the divorce papers, and not only did I gain custody of my children, but Justin also did not receive any visitation rights. I had a lot to figure out, but my dad offered me a solution. You know I am a retired man. If you'd like, we can take care of the kids here until you have something else going on for you. No pressure. Dad, that would mean a lot to me while I figure things out. Furthermore, I've met someone named Kathy. She brings me a lot of joy. Would you mind if she moved in here too? I had already asked her before all this happened, and I was going to inform you. No, Dad. I'm more than pleased. I'm glad you found someone. You can return to work, and Kathy and I will look after the kids. Sounds perfect, Dad. It has been 6 months since we moved into my dad's house, and a lot has transpired during that time. Justin was released from jail but did not attempt to contact me. I got back to work. I moved in and met Kathy. She possesses wisdom and experience, and she's very affectionate. Surprisingly, she also provides me with motherly advice, and it feels like she fills a void. All my kids are healthy, and Amanda has started preschool. Honestly, I believe I might need more time to fully recover from everything. However, on the bright side, I'm grateful for everything I have. For now, I'm just concentrating on my work and my kids. It may take time to heal and grow, but surrounded by the love of my family, I know I will find my way. Hey, I'm Ava. From the moment I met my mother-in-law, we didn't get along. She was rude and condescending, and it was clear she didn't approve of me as her son's wife. Things got worse when my husband encouraged me to buy our first home. He paid for part of it, and my mother-in-law started criticizing every little thing about it. She even bought us ugly decorations that didn't match my style, knowing how much I wanted a beautiful home. The worst part was when she tried to turn my husband against me. She would call him and lie about things I supposedly said or did, trying to make him doubt our relationship. I tried to stay positive and hope things would get better, but eventually, I had to stand up for myself. I invited her over for dinner, hoping to improve our relationship. I spent hours cooking and preparing the meal, but she barely touched her food. Mary, Ansel, and I are so glad to have you over for dinner. Ansel told me to make your favorite dish, I said. Unfortunately, this looks like my least favorite dish. This isn't food. I wouldn't feed this to an animal. Do you call this cooking? Do you even know how bread is made? She responded. I'm trying to patch things up with you and bridge the gap, but you never meet me in the middle. You're just mean, I replied. Well, it's still pretty inedible. How does Ansel eat this? You should take some cooking classes, she said. Mary, I put a lot of time and effort into making this meal. Please try to enjoy it, I pleaded. Fine, I'll try a little more. But you need to step up your game. You don't impress me enough by just being Ansel's wife, she said. I'm not trying to impress you, Mary. I just wanted to make a nice dinner for us to enjoy together, I said. I heard from Ansel that you burned the roast last week, she added. I did burn the roast, but I learned from my mistake and I'm getting better. Can we please just focus on the present and enjoy this meal? Can you stop being grumpy for once? I asked. Throughout the meal, she kept making aggressive comments and I felt uncomfortable in my own home. Ansel never stood up for me. He said it was between us to figure out and always sided with his mom. At my aunt's birthday party, which was supposed to be fun with painting and wine, things got uncomfortable when my mother-in-law showed up. Hey, Auntie, happy birthday. This is such a cool setup. I love the idea of painting and sipping on wine, I said. Thank you, Ava. I'm glad you like it. It's a nice way to unwind and have fun, my aunt replied. I'm surprised to see my mother-in-law here, I said. Oh, Mary and I are great friends. I love her accessories. Sorry, I forgot to tell you I invited her. I know you two have had some issues, but I wanted to smooth things over. Plus, she's family, my aunt explained. You know she makes me uncomfortable. She's always rude and passive-aggressive to me, I said. I know, and I'm sorry. Just try to have a good time tonight, and don't let her get to you, my aunt said. My mother-in-law wore a super revealing shirt and got paint on it and her stomach while getting drunk. My aunt and mom helped her clean up in the bathroom. I went to help because I didn't want to leave my mom alone with her. You know, Jesse has been such a great boyfriend to me. He treats me like a queen and is always so thoughtful, my mother-in-law said. Jesse? You're Jesse? Ava told us he was absolutely horrible to her and Ansel in school, my mom said. Oh, he's changed a lot since then. He has a great job now and always takes me out to nice restaurants and buys me gifts, she replied. What does Ansel think of this? I thought he and Jesse had some kind of beef in the past, my aunt asked. Oh, he doesn't know. He's too stubborn to let the past go. I'm happy and that's all that matters right now. I'll tell him when the time is right, she said. My husband's old bully Jesse was dating my mother-in-law. Ansel hated Jesse and I knew he would be upset if he found out. I talked to my mother-in-law about it and she got furious. She always made sure that Ansel and I didn't get along, and Ansel never stood up for me, which made me angry. I needed someone to stand up for me, and Ansel was far from that, so I decided to talk to her myself. You're always trying to create tension between Ansel and me, I confronted her. What are you talking about? I've never done anything like that, she denied. Really? Remember when you came over for dinner and barely touched your food while making passive-aggressive comments? I reminded her. Oh, that. I was just feeling a little under the weather, she excused. And what about when you wore that revealing shirt at my aunt's party and got drunk? You got paint all over yourself, and my mom and aunt had to help you clean up. I continued. That was just a harmless mistake. I didn't mean anything by it, she replied. And then there's Jesse, Ansel's old bully, who's now dating you. I know Ansel hates him, and yet you're still with him. I'm giving you one day to tell Ansel yourself, or I will, I warned. Jesse is a wonderful man, and Ansel needs to learn to forgive and forget, she argued. I don't think you understand how your actions affect us. It's about our marriage. I want us to have a good relationship, but it's hard when you're always causing problems, I explained. Later that night, I received a phone call that changed me. Living with Ansel was like living with a lazy, unproductive stranger. He often spent the entire day lounging on the couch, watching TV, and surfing the internet. Even when I asked him to help with household chores or errands, he would always come up with an excuse or simply ignore me. He was never emotionally present or supportive. He would dismiss my feelings and concerns without really listening. It felt like I was living with a stranger who had no interest in building a life together. Ansel, can you please help me with the dishes? They're piling up in the sink, I asked. I'm kind of in the middle of something right now. Can't you do them later? He replied. I have a deadline for work and I won't be able to get to them until late tonight. Can you just take a few minutes to help me out? I pleaded. I just don't see why I have to do everything you ask. I have things to do too, he said. Like what exactly? You've been sitting on the couch all day, I pointed out. I've been job hunting, okay. It's not easy finding something that fits my qualifications, he defended. I understand, but I need you to help around the house too. And speaking of which, why are you still taking rent from me for using the basement as my office? I paid for this entire house, I reminded him. Well, I need to contribute to the household expenses somehow, and the basement is technically mine since I paid for it, he argued. Are you kidding me? I own this entire house. I'm already contributing by paying for all the groceries and bills. You do nothing but ignore me and let your mother run her mouth all over the place. You are lazy, a snob, and I can't deal with you anymore, I snapped. Ansel always took advantage of my hard work. I worked 12-hour days to earn money and contribute to our household. I had the privilege of working from home, as my firm allows senior associates to stay in the comfort of their homes. Although I had bought the entire house, I used the basement to work, and Ansel kept charging me rent for it. I was fed up with it all. I hate the way things are going. You don't seem to be putting in any effort to help me around the house or with anything else, and on top of that, your mother keeps trying to control my life. I can't take it anymore, I declared. What do you want me to do, Ava? I can't just cut my mother out of my life. She raised me. I'm not asking you to cut her out, but you need to stand up for me and start contributing more around the house. If things don't change, I'm seriously considering divorce, I said. Ansel stayed quiet during the argument and later complained to his mother. Each time he did, Mary would come back with something rude to say to me, just to get at me. Seeing him there angered me. He had become extremely rude and difficult to deal with. I hated every bit of my day and just wanted an escape. To my surprise, my mother-in-law walked into my house that night and threw divorce papers at my face, flinging them across the room. Look, I know you're not happy with me right now, but you need to understand that I can't let you continue to hurt my husband in our relationship. It's not fair to him or me, I said. Oh, spare me the lecture. You think you're so perfect, but you have no idea what it takes to make a marriage work. You better keep these papers ready with your signature tomorrow. I don't want to hear a squeak from a good-for-nothing like you. You were never going to be good enough for my Ansel. I knew my baby was marrying a witch. Get out of our lives by tomorrow morning. I can't bear the sight of you. Take these papers and be out of his life. You are good for nothing, Mary retorted. That reminds me, you're about to rent out your house and move in with us for the summer. Well, let's see how that goes, she added. Oh, maybe poor Mary doesn't know there are consequences to her actions. Ansel has no money. Everything you have, the gifts, the trips, it's all because of my hard work and money. So don't act like you're some kind of queen who can do whatever she wants. Who do you think paid for that stupid diamond ring? Who do you think pays for your car? I challenged. No, it can't be. You're just spouting lies. What do you mean Ansel has no money? She asked, shocked. I mean exactly what I said. He's been living off my income and the rent he gets from me for far too long, and it's not fair to me either. He's a lazy prick who does nothing but just stakes up the room all day, I replied. Well, that's just ridiculous. Ansel is a man. He's my boy. He would never let you support him like that, she defended. I have been kind enough for a long time, and you've taken advantage of that. Ansel takes advantage of my money, and so do you. You both are just leeches who suck the life out of someone. Someday, when you aren't all old and wrinkly, maybe never. I urge you to see things from my perspective, I asserted. I looked through the divorce papers and knew this was my key to freedom. Then I heard something I never thought I would hear in a million years. Ava, I'm so sorry. Please don't look through the papers. I didn't know this. Please hear me out. I know I've been difficult to deal with, and I'm sorry for how I've treated you, Mary pleaded. Sorry? Ha, that's rich coming from you, I replied. I know, please put it down. I haven't been the best, but I'm willing to change. You never told me about the funds, she continued. You're just a bully. No wonder you and Jesse get along so well. Ansel is just as much at fault here. He's a lazy couch potato, and he takes advantage of me, and you enable his behavior, I said. Please don't sign those papers. I was the one who encouraged him to do all this. Please, I'm begging you, don't leave him. He's my son, and I love him. We can work things out, and the money? We can definitely look into that too. I can live with you, and you can continue paying us rent, she suggested. Pay you rent? In my house? I exclaimed. I can't stay in this toxic environment anymore. You guys are terrible, and I can't even look at your nasty face right now, I declared. It was hard to say, but I knew it was the truth. Ansel emerged from the couch and begged me to stay, but I knew I couldn't continue living like this. I also knew that my mother-in-law would try to talk me out of it, but I wasn't going to back down. As I picked up the papers and walked away from my mother-in-law, my heart was heavy with the weight of my decision. I knew that what I was about to do would change my life forever. I needed so much from Ansel that he could never give me. I wanted to raise a family and be a closely knit unit, but his mother was a nasty old lady, and I couldn't stand her. I called my mom and my aunt because they were the closest to me. I needed to get it off my chest. Who else would understand me better? I don't know what to do anymore. Ansel just sits around all day doing nothing. He doesn't help with the chores or contribute to the household in any way. I pay rent in my own house so that he can have an allowance, and Mary is a nightmare, I vented. Have you talked to him about it? My mom asked. Yes, but he gets defensive and says he's trying his best, but can see he's not putting in any effort, I replied. That's not fair to you, Ava. You work hard to earn your own money, and he should be contributing too, my aunt added. Exactly. It's frustrating to see him act this way, especially since his mother so easily manipulates him. I want to talk to him and see how it goes, I said. I reached home and received several voicemails from Mary begging me to stay. Do you even know about this? Is it something you want to fight about again? God, you're annoying. Tell me, Ansel said. Wow, the whole family is crazy, huh? Anyway, your mother is dating Jesse. Plus, thanks for never telling me that you've wanted a divorce for the longest time, I retorted. She's dating Jesse. She knows how horrible he was to me. How can she do this to me and Ava? With your nagging, I don't want to be with somebody like you. My mother was right. You are not good enough for me. I don't want to sign the papers, but you are unbearable. I don't know why I even bothered to beg you to stay. I can do just fine without you. I'm a man. I can support myself, Ansel declared. I am not good enough for you. Have you taken a look at yourself? You haven't showered in 5 days because not a single job notification has come in. You've been on unemployment forever. It's pathetic to see you like this, I said. Ansel finally looked at me. What do you think about me, Ava? Are you leaving me? We just wanted to frighten you. If I told you how you made me feel, you would reconsider. The papers were a way to show you that you were being difficult and terrible to me. We were trying to teach you a lesson, Ansel said, his voice tinged with desperation. Wow, I can't even begin to start with you guys. You're insane, and I can't believe this is happening. I have signed the papers and have also called my attorney. You will hear from him soon. I want you out of this house by 5 p.m. today. Here's the $20,000 you paid for that stupid basement, I said, throwing the money at Ansel's face. Mary stood at the door, staring at me in shock. I won't sign the papers, Ansel declared defiantly. Okay then, you leave me with no choice but to report your mother for abuse and theft to the authorities. You both have been stealing from me and asking me to pay rent in my own house, I threatened. What about us? What about our life? Ansel asked, his voice breaking. Good luck with it. I hope you don't end up starving under a bridge. Do not ever contact me again. I want you out by tonight, I said firmly. As I walked away, I heard Ansel muttering that none of this was fair to him and that I was just being mean. Mary kept begging me to stay, falling at my feet, but I knew leaving them behind was the most important thing I could do for myself. Ansel was a person I had put on a pedestal. I needed to realize that he was human, and a terrible one at that. Leaving him and kicking them out of my house would be the most peaceful decision I had ever made for myself. This was not an easy decision. I still ponder over it and feel terrible for the same. I had spent far too long being taken advantage of and manipulated, and I was ready to move on and start a new chapter. After they left, I began to focus on myself and my happiness. I bought a new home in a different city and started to build a life that was entirely my own. I began to work on my firm with a few colleagues from my workplace, and the process of building a business from scratch was challenging but exciting. Everything was growing for me, and I wanted to expand further. Yay! I'm impressed by what you've accomplished so far with the firm. You've been working tirelessly, and it's really paying off, Ethan, one of my colleagues said. Thank you so much, Ethan. It's been a lot of hard work, but it's all worth it. I'm so excited about what the future holds for us, I replied. Speaking of the future, have you thought about expanding the firm? Maybe bringing on more employees or opening up another location, he asked. Actually, I have. I've been doing some research, and it's a possibility. I'm still in the planning stages, but I'm considering it, I said. I also adopted a son who brings joy and light to my life every day. He's my bottle of sunshine, and I love him so much. He and I love spending time basking in the sun at the park. As for Ansel and Mary, I had completely cut them out of my life. Mary would occasionally call and ask for money. You took everything from us. We've been reduced to nothing. Ansel and I are struggling to make ends meet. We're living in a motel and running out of money. Send us money. You owe us enough to help us out, Mary pleaded. I owe you nothing, and I'm sorry to hear that. I will not be able to help you financially. You and Ansel need to take responsibility for your own lives, I replied firmly. This lazy man has been sitting around doing nothing. I have been working tirelessly to do odd jobs here and there. No one's hiring him, she said, exasperated. Don't rely on me to support you. I told you who your son was, and you said that he was too good for me. You and Ansel need to work together to find a solution, I retorted. I understand and appreciate your apologies, but I can't ever forget the way you treated me. You guys are horrible. You don't know how I'm doing. I have hit rock bottom. Jesse refuses to talk to me. I have nothing in my life. Let me tell you what happened. Please just listen to me, she begged. I didn't want to listen to her talk about Jesse, but I didn't want my son to see me angry and swearing at my mother-in-law. I let her speak, and she told me about a conversation she had with her boyfriend. Jesse, what's going on? You've been acting distant lately, Mary had asked Jesse. I can't be your bank. I thought you were mine. I can't keep pretending that everything is okay between us and keep giving you all the money, Jesse replied. What are you talking about? I thought we were happy together, Mary said, shocked. You're old, and I was with you for your money. I can't do this anymore. I found out that marrying you would never get me the fortune Iva's father left her because you and the pig Ansel are so pathetic, Jesse explained coldly. What? How could you say that? I thought you loved me, Mary cried. I just needed money until I could score a hot chick who's as old as me. Your health keeps declining, and I can't keep up with the medical bills. You were old and expensive to handle, Jesse said harshly. Well, Mary, that's tough, but we are not your enablers. Get a life and do not ever contact me again. It sucks to know you guys are in the worst era of your life and nobody is ready to help you. I hope Ansel gets that job as a janitor, I said, ending the conversation. I blocked her after this and never spoke to her again. I recently found out that my ex-husband finally got a job as a janitor at a school and has been in the worst financial crunch ever. Living paycheck to paycheck is something I can understand, but I have no sympathy. He took advantage of me and my money, and I was so glad this phase was behind me. Mary and Ansel live in a shelter now and will slowly be kicked out onto the streets. Ansel has already lost his place in the shelter and lives under a bridge close to it. Mary has managed to enable her benefits by being an elderly woman to stay in the shelter. As for me, I bought a new home with a different address. I did not want to live in that old house. I have also signed on new clients, and my son and I love swimming, so I bought a home with a pool and a yard to play with my sunshine. Hello, beautiful people. My name is Lena, and I'm here to tell you an amazing story about how I got sweet revenge on my horrible mother-in-law, Pam. Let's start with the basics. My husband Key and I met through mutual friends and got married after dating for 3 years. Key is a wonderful man, largely because of his father, Rick, who is also amazing. However, I can't say the same for his mother, Pam. Pam is a bitter and entitled woman who thinks the world revolves around her. She has high expectations but neither the brains nor the skills to achieve them. Both she and Rick had modest jobs and lived a modest life. While Rick was content, Pam always wanted more and often looked down on others. She even criticized Rick for not earning enough to provide her with a luxurious lifestyle. When Key got a good job, Pam quit hers and expected Key and Rick to cover all her expenses. When Key and I moved in together, we both worked and carefully planned our expenses. Key stopped giving his mother money whenever she asked, which made Pam furious at me. She accused me of taking her son's money and warned me that she wouldn't allow me to bankrupt him. I told her I had a good job and didn't need Key's money, but she didn't believe me. She thought I was just a useless girl who would eventually rely on Key as a cash cow. Despite her efforts, Key and I got married, which made her even angrier. Pam never accepted me and constantly made fun of me and my lifestyle. She especially loved to mock my old, beat-up car, comparing it to the nice Honda Key bought her 3 years ago. Despite her insults, I kept quiet because I liked Rick and didn't want to cause problems between Key and his mom. This worked until one fateful night at a family dinner. Pam made another joke about my car, saying her friend thought it was going to the junkyard and that I must be desperate to still use it. Kay defended me and said, "Don't worry, Dad, the jokes end today. Next time your friend sees Lena's car, she'll be surprised. Lena has booked a brand new car. She'll have the best car in the family." Pam was shocked and upset to hear that I paid $30,000 for the new car, while Rick and Key were genuinely happy. You see, I had always dreamed of a particular car, which is why I never upgraded my old one despite its issues. I saved for a long time, and by the time my old car died, I had enough money to buy my dream car. Key was super supportive and happy that I achieved my dream. When Key told Pam about my new car, he was excited, but I was wary of her reaction. This is what she said next. "What? You're getting a new car? A car that costs $30,000? Are you insane? Do you think my son's money grows on trees?" "Mom, relax. Lena's buying the car with her own money. It's her dream car, and she worked hard to save for it." "That's great, Lena. I'm so proud of you. You deserve it since you worked so hard for it. Now you'll have the best car in our family." Pam, however, was furious. No. This can't be happening. This useless woman can't have a better car than me. Lena, you better cancel the purchase. You'll be disrespecting your in-laws by making such extravagant purchases. Everyone was surprised by what Pam said. I wasn't sure if I had heard her right. Was she really asking me to give up my car because she couldn't afford one as nice? Yes, she was, because she was that entitled. Rick and Key were both shocked and uncomfortable. I said, "No, I don't think I will. Driving a better car doesn't mean I'm disrespecting anyone. It's my money I'm spending." Rick chimed in, "We don't mind, Lena." Pam, what the hell are you saying? She's not being disrespectful by buying better things. Well, it is disrespectful to me. Lena, I don't care what you think. You will cancel the purchase immediately. If you're smart, you'll double the cash and get new cars for both of us. Oh hell no, Pam. If you want a new car, you can go back to work and get it the way I did. I don't see why I should get you a new car for nothing. Your car is in perfectly good shape. I will not drive an old car when someone useless like you will be driving a $30,000 car. You have two options, Lena. Either buy a cheaper car or buy two expensive ones. I take one while you take the other. You are delusional, Pam. That's not how things work. If you want something, you should work for it. This conversation is ridiculous. I think we'll go home." Key agreed with me and we left, but Pam never stopped bothering us. She kept telling me to cancel the purchase or face consequences. That set off alarm bells for me. I showed the texts to Key, but he told me to ignore them, thinking his mom was just being dramatic. He often ignored her or gave in to her demands, but I didn't think it was wise this time. So I became extra careful. Thank God I did. 2 weeks after my car was delivered, I was at home on leave when I heard a knock at the door. I opened it to find a cheerful Pam walking into my living room. I was confused and cautious about why she was in such a good mood. After some small talk, she asked for coffee. While I was in the kitchen, I heard the front door close. I rushed out to see Pam driving away in my new car. She stole my car. I was in shock. I called Key and asked him to come home immediately. He said he would be on his way. I was panicking, trying to figure out what was going on. My panic grew when Pam returned with my car in terrible condition. It hit me. She wrecked my car on purpose. She smugly got out and handed me the keys. I was shaking with rage. What the hell did you do, Pam? You wrecked my car. Why? You can't have something I can't. You don't deserve to drive a new car while I have to drive an old one. I deserve what you have, probably more. Now that your car is wrecked, you'll have to drive an old beat-up car like the rest of us. I laughed at her. It was hilarious. She thought I would go back to driving my old, non-functional car. How funny. She had no idea what I was about to do. Pam looked at me like I had lost my mind. I was laughing like a maniac after she destroyed my $30,000 car. Anyone else would be crying, but not me. I calmed down and went to the car, taking some pictures. I reached inside and removed something from the rearview mirror. Pam looked panicked. What is that? What are you holding? She asked. Oh, Pam, did you really think my world would end if you wrecked my car? Sorry to burst your bubble, but that's not happening. Do you want to know what I just pulled out? It's a dash cam, Pam. No, that's impossible. That's fake. It can't be real. I checked for a dash cam. It wasn't there before. You really are behind on technology, Pam. This one goes behind the rearview mirror and stores videos on a memory card. With this, I have plenty of proof to land you in jail, and my insurance will cover it all. Pam looked like she had landed in hell. She was panicking and looked ready to faint. She didn't think she would get caught. Now that I had threatened to call the cops, she was freaking out. She still somehow denied it and kept saying the device was fake. You're trying to scare me, Lena. It won't work. You just got the car. So what, Pam? Do you think I'm a dumbass like you? I pre-ordered the dash cam before I'd even picked up the car. It's an expensive car, and I wasn't going to leave it without surveillance. Plus, I already suspected you might try something stupid. I was right. Now that you've messed up my car, I guess we'll have to call the cops. No, you can't do that. You can't call the cops. Pam was visibly panicking, not knowing what to do. I was already on the phone with the police who said they would be on their way. Pam stood frozen, looking like a deer in headlights. Just then, Key came home from work. He took one look at my wrecked car and said, "What the hell, Lena? What happened to the car? Are you hurt?" "I'm fine, Key. As you can see, my car is a wreck now, thanks to your mom. If you want to know how this happened, I'm sure your dear mother will be willing to give you the details." "What are you talking about, Mom? Did you do this to Lena's car?" Pam tried to be smart. She thought she could use her son to get out of trouble and change the story to paint me as the villain. She started crying loudly and clung to Key's arm. Key looked confused and didn't know what to do or say. Pam used this opportunity to say, "Key, your wife wrecked her car and is now blaming me. She knows I can't afford a car like that, so she's accusing me out of jealousy. She's telling everyone I was jealous of her car and wrecked it." I only told Key, and I never said those words. I just told him the truth. That you wrecked my car. "Lena, shut up. I have done no such thing. How dare you accuse me of something so horrible?" "Key, Lena is threatening to call the cops on me. I didn't do anything wrong. She's trying to pass off her reckless driving on me." "Are you saying you didn't wreck my car, Pam?" "I didn't do it. You can't prove I was the one who wrecked your car." "Here's where things get interesting, Pam. You see this beautiful dash cam? It has both front and back-facing cameras. You know what that means? It means it also records who is driving the car." Pam didn't see this coming. She thought she could convince everyone I was lying. As I said, she was out of touch with technology and didn't know double-sided dash cams existed. Her expression confirmed my doubts. Pam now knew she was trapped. I had wisely made sure my car was well protected. My insurance would take care of the repair costs. All I had to do was file a police report. This meant Pam was in deep trouble with no escape in sight. She started to tremble as tears gathered in her eyes again. Key looked stunned and quickly pushed Pam away just as the cops drove up to the house. "Mom, how could you do this?" "Lena was right. You planned this ever since I accidentally told you about the new car." Key, son, it was a mistake. I was just a little jealous, that's all. I couldn't afford a car like that. I got lost in jealousy and did something stupid. Please forgive me. Forgive you. Mom, you destroyed the car, stole someone else's property, wrecked it on purpose, and then tried to blame my wife. You think I can forgive that? Pam kept crying and begging Key for forgiveness while I was busy telling the cops what happened and handing over all the evidence. I connected my phone to the dash cam to show them the proof. Once they confirmed what happened, they proceeded to arrest Pam. She immediately panicked and said, Key, you can't let them arrest me. I'm your mother. I just made a small mistake. Don't let them send me to jail. You have no right to ask that from me. You committed a crime and showed no real remorse. You didn't even apologize to Lena. You're on your own, Mom. There is no way I'm helping you. Lena, we can solve this between ourselves. There's no reason to get the cops involved. We are family, right? You wouldn't want your mother-in-law arrested, would you? Actually, no, Pam. You made it clear that I'm not family. It would give me great pleasure to see you arrested for committing a crime. Officers, take her away. I'm firm in my decision. I will sue her for stealing my car and damaging it. Pam cried out and screamed, seeking Key's help, but he turned away, unable to forgive her betrayal. But he moved away as well. The cops arrested her and put her in the police car, driving her off to the station. Key and I went inside the house, and I called my insurance company to inform them about the situation. Once I was done, Key sat me down to apologize. Lena, I'm so sorry. I could have stopped this from happening. My mom has always been so difficult with you, but I didn't do anything to stop her. It's okay, you did stand up for me more than once. I don't blame you for trying to keep your mom in your life, but after today, I'm done with her. Oh, trust me, Lena. I'm done with her as well. I don't want anything to do with her anymore. I've been giving in to her demands for a while now. I didn't see how selfish and spoiled she was getting. I guess this is a wake-up call for me too. I hope Dad sees it as well. Just then, Key's phone rang. It was his dad, Rick, calling to understand what was going on. Key answered the call and put it on speaker. Hey Dad, you're on loudspeaker. Lena's here as well. We assume this is about Mom. Yes, it is. Key, what's going on? Your mom called from the police station saying she had been arrested. She told me that Lena wrecked her new car and blamed it on her. I don't understand what's going on. Was Lena trying to spin the story to get her way again? Rick assumed Pam was telling the truth, but he wasn't oblivious to his wife's antics. He sought confirmation before believing her outright. Key, on the other hand, was super pissed at what Pam tried to pull. Dad, Mom is lying. She stole Lena's car and wrecked it on purpose. She took the keys when Lena wasn't looking. The dash cams on the car caught everything. What the hell, Key? Why did your mother lie to me? This is insane. I assume she wants me to bail her out. Rick, this is the same story she told Key when the cops tried to arrest her. She thought I didn't have proof of her driving my car. Well, I have a double camera dash cam, so her lies didn't work. Oh God, I should have seen this coming. She had been watching your new car for a while, Lena. I thought she was just venting. I never imagined she would go this far. Rick was in complete shock after hearing the details of what happened. He was furious with Pam and ashamed of what she had tried to pull. Key and Rick had a private talk after which they hung up. He later told me that Rick had no intention of bailing Pam out. He was both furious and disappointed. He also sent me an apology text, telling me not to hate him for his wife's actions. It broke my heart. I hoped he would do better for himself. He didn't deserve such a horrible wife like Pam. Well, guess what, guys? The universe listened to me. Rick met with Pam at the police station and refused to bail her out. He tried to get some remorse out of her and see if she was willing to change herself. But Pam wasn't done sabotaging herself. She actually screamed at him for being a useless husband who couldn't give her a good car or bail her out of prison. That was rich coming from someone who left her job to mooch off her son and husband. Rick was so angry that he told Pam he was done. He came home and called us, telling us he would be filing for divorce. He was done being a verbal punching bag for his wife. A year has passed since that incident. Rick actually ended up divorcing Pam and moving in with us. The court didn't even give Pam alimony because she had willingly left her job without consulting Rick. They didn't have much, and whatever she got out of the divorce was spent on paying me back for the damages to my car. Yes, I went ahead with my case, or rather my insurance company did. I got a replacement car within a month, and all was well with me. Pam was slapped with multiple charges and made to pay a lot of money. She went back to working 2 jobs because she didn't have money to pay my insurance and sustain herself. She did try to beg Key and me for help, but we shut the door in her face. Since then, we have had no contact with her. Last I heard, she was staying with a family member who didn't tolerate her nonsense. Pam is now poor and unhappy, but I guess that's what she gets for being a greedy and entitled woman. Hello, my name is Tony. I'm 42 years old. This story began more than 10 years ago, but we're continuing it because the main person involved has come back with so much audacity that I feel the need to share this incident with all of you. I know my sister-in-law loves to watch these, so if you're listening, I hope you're even more ashamed and embarrassed. Let's start from the very beginning. Sasha, my sister-in-law, and I were best friends even before I met her brother. We became friends in middle school and have been inseparable since the day we met. I didn't meet my husband until I was in college. I hadn't had the opportunity to meet him earlier because he was always out whenever I visited Sasha's house. When he moved away for college, I didn't get a chance to meet him. I actually met him by chance. I had seen his face in family pictures at Sasha's house, so I recognized him when I met him for the first time at a bar. He didn't know who I was and approached me. I was surprised but let it play out. By the end of the evening, I told him I was his sister's best friend. He was shocked but said I was too pretty to let go. He continued to pursue me, and after Sasha said it was okay, we started dating. We got married 2 years later and moved in next to Sasha and her husband Brett. After a year of marriage, Sasha and Brett had a baby girl, Via. I loved Via to bits. She was the cutest kid with the loveliest smile and laugh. The only issue was that Via was born with some birth defects that left her partially blind. For the first 5 years of her life, she struggled to adapt to her surroundings. It wasn't because she was stupid or couldn't grasp things properly. Rather, her parents refused to accept that their daughter was visually impaired. They would put her in situations where she had no experience, which were potentially dangerous because they wanted her to live a normal life. Now, don't get me wrong. I fully believe in making our societies more accessible for people with disabilities so they can live better and more normal lives. But when I say that Sasha wanted Via to live a normal life, I don't mean she wanted to make things accessible for her. One incident that comes to mind is a time we all went to a park. People usually came to the park for picnics, played dates, and exercise. Via and I went to spend some time together. There was a specific path in the park meant only for bicycles. While Sasha was absorbed in talking about something, I looked around for Via and noticed she wasn't near us. I panicked and asked Sasha if she had seen Via. Sasha, have you seen Via? I'm really worried. Don't worry about it. How can you be so calm? Via could be in serious danger. Calm down, Tony. Calm down? How could I possibly be calm? Your daughter is visually impaired. What if she fell and seriously injured herself? You have no right to tell me how to parent my kid. Via is perfectly fine. I never said that you don't know how to parent your child. I'm saying that I'm literally the only one who actually cares for your daughter. You need to be more responsible. I know what's best for her, and I don't need you to interfere or tell me what I'm doing is wrong. Why are you trying to fight me right now? She could be hurt right now. You need to take this seriously. I am her mother, not you. Back off and let me handle it my way. At that point, I was too panicked and angry to continue talking to Sasha. I started retracing our steps to find Vita. Sasha kept angrily calling me back and yelling that we weren't done talking. I ignored her. My heart was racing too fast to care about Sasha. I ended up finding Via. She was crying, trying to grasp something to help her navigate, calling out for her mom and me. I felt so relieved when I saw her. I called out to her, and her face immediately lit up. She giggled as she made her way over to me. I waited as I watched her waddle over, but she was walking really close to the cycle track. Suddenly, a large number of cyclists rode the track at high speeds. My stomach dropped. I quickly got up to catch her, but before I could take my next step, Via slipped and fell straight onto the cyclist's path. The cyclist tried to brake or swerve around her. I managed to reach her just before one of the cyclists could crash into her. I held Via tightly, and she sensed my panic and started crying. I calmed her and myself down. Sasha had witnessed the whole thing. She came over and grabbed Via out of my hands. You shouldn't have interfered with Via. She needs to learn to understand her environment on her own. I was worried for her safety. Did you even tell her about all the dangers here? She's old enough to walk around on her own. She doesn't need constant supervision. She's only 4 years old and visually impaired. She could have been seriously hurt. Oh, come on. It's not that bad. She would have only gotten a few scratches or bruises. That's not the point. She needs proper care and guidance. You're being overprotective. Via can handle herself. Your ignorance is dangerous. One day it will hurt her. You need to take her safety seriously. Just mind your own business, Tony. She's my daughter, not yours. Fine, but remember, you're responsible for her well-being. She deserves better care. Sasha grabbed Via and walked away. I felt so baffled and angry. How could someone treat their own child this way? I wanted to protect Via and wanted Sasha to step up and be a good parent. I couldn't expect the same from her husband Brett because he was so absent from their lives, spending his entire day working. But thankfully, the universe heard my plea. It was heartbreaking the way it happened, but I was kind of glad that it did. After that incident, Sasha stopped talking to me much. I rarely got to see Via. Every time I tried, Sasha would make up some excuse and shut the door in my face. But after a year, one day Sasha and Brett showed up at my house with Via. I was surprised to see them and noticed the bags they held. Hi guys, are you going on a trip? Yes. It's supposed to be a couple's trip. We were wondering if you and Noah could take care of Via while we're away. Of course, we'll take care of her. But how long will you be gone? Forever. We've had enough of Via. What? She doesn't fit our idea of what our child should look like. We can't handle it anymore. Cruel and heartless. How can you do this? You can't just abandon your own child. We've made up our minds. Here, we've signed off our parental rights and these are her adoption papers. Take her. She's way too much of a burden. I won't let you treat her like this. She's not a burden. Oh, stop being so dramatic. Just take her if you care so much. I will take Via. You should be ashamed of yourselves. You're her parents, act like it. Before I could say anything else, Sasha and Brett walked away, got in their car, and drove off. I stood there shaking until Via tugged on my arm and asked how long her parents would be gone. Tears streamed down my face as I told her it would be years until she saw them again. Via started crying loudly, calling out for her parents. I hugged her tightly and let her cry in my arms for as long as she needed. When I finally brought her into the house, she asked if I would also send her away. My heart sank, and I wanted to cry, but I stayed strong. Via, you're going to stay with me and Uncle Noah from now on. Does that mean my mom will come back? I don't know, sweetheart. I can't say for sure. Okay, but you and Uncle Noah are more fun than my parents anyway. Oh, thank you, sweetie. We'll take good care of you and we'll always be here for you. Can we have more game nights and movie nights? Absolutely. We'll all have fun together. Yay, I love you, Aunt Tony. I love you too, Via. Always remember that. That evening, I told Noah about everything that had happened. He was furious with his sister and brother-in-law. He tried calling them, but his calls always went to voicemail. As the days passed, we slowly accepted our new reality. We were overjoyed to take care of Via. Even though she had been neglected, she was still very well behaved. It was a joy to watch her grow up. Eventually, days turned into months and months into years. Via grew into a beautiful young woman. We got along so well that we even forgot about Sasha and Brett. Via stopped calling us Aunt Tony and Uncle Noah 6 months into living with us. We became her parents in every way, and we loved her deeply. Though she was still mostly blind, she got much better at finding her way around. When she was 12, her doctor told us there was a new development in medicine that could restore Via's vision. We were shocked and asked if it could be fully restored. The doctor said, while it might not be 100%, they could achieve about 85%. We were overjoyed. That night, we sat down with Via to talk about the news. Via, sweetie, how do you feel about the news? I'm scared, Mom. I don't want to lose what little sight I have. It's okay to be scared, but we'll make sure to find the best doctors to help you. Really, Dad? Do you promise it won't make me fully blind? We promise. We'll choose the best places with the highest success rates. You'll be safe. Okay, I want to do it, but I'm scared. It's natural to feel scared, but we'll be with you every step of the way. I know. I want to see what my real parents look like. The fact that the first people Via wanted to see after her surgery were me and Noah made us both tear up. We were blessed with an absolute angel in our lives. The surgery was scheduled for the next month, so we spent the days leading up to it together, having fun game nights and movie nights to distract us from the nervousness. Finally, the day of the surgery arrived, and it went successfully. It took Via 6 months to fully heal, but Noah and I stood by her every step of the way. During this time, we grew even closer as a family. The next few years were blissful. Via regained a good portion of her sight, and it was adorable to watch her look at everything with fascination. The best moment was when she finally got to see Noah and my faces clearly. She began crying and telling us that she loved us. We hugged her close and told her the same. Since then, she would take a good look at us every day and compliment us. She said it was her way of making up for years of only getting compliments and never being able to give any back. One day, our happy little bubble burst. Noah and I had taken the day off because Via was on summer vacation and was hanging out with her friends while we prepared lunch. We heard a loud banging on the door. My heart started pounding. Noah cautiously approached the door and opened it a little. His eyes widened and he quickly shut the door, turning to me with a pale face. I asked what was wrong, and he told me Sasha was outside. Before I could fully process what was happening, my body switched to autopilot. I threw open the door and saw Sasha standing there, looking apologetic. "Tony, can I come in? You were never invited back into our lives. What do you want? Please, I'm sorry for running when things got hard and dropping my burdens at your feet. I was young and stupid. I didn't know what to do, so I ran. You still haven't changed. Really, I don't know if you have, coming here, calling the child you abandoned a burden. I just wanted to meet my daughter. No drama, I promise. Via is no longer your daughter. You signed over your parental rights to me and Noah. She's still my daughter, no matter what you say." "No, she's not. You made that choice. Leave now. We don't need you here." Sasha's face paled and she stuttered, trying to come up with excuses. I didn't want to listen, so I moved to close the door, but Sasha stopped me. She then broke down and told us why she had come. "I came to see Via because I need to talk to her about something serious." "What could be so serious that you decided to show up after 12 years? Brett is really sick and needs stem cells. We want to try every possible DNA match, including Via." "I understand, but this is a lot for Via to take in. I'll talk to her and let you know her decision in 3 days." "Thank you, and I'm sorry for everything I did in the past. Apologies won't change what happened, but I'll make sure Via knows about your request." I was upset and enraged as Sasha had reached out only because she needed something, not because she cared about Via. I wanted to turn Sasha down on Via's behalf, but I knew that was wrong. So I patiently waited until Via got home. When she did, Noah and I sat her down. "What's wrong, guys? You look worried." "Well, your biological mother, Sasha, visited us today." "Why would she come here? What does she want?" "She wanted to talk to you about something serious. Your biological father, Brett, is sick and needs a stem cell donor. Sasha came to see if you could be a match." "Is Brett okay? Should I do it?" "We don't know his condition for sure, sweetie. It's your decision, and we'll support you no matter what you choose." "How long do I have to decide?" "You have 3 days to think about it." "Okay, I'll take some time to think it over." Via then said goodnight and locked herself in her room. Noah and I were very worried. We ate our dinner in silence and left some food by Via's door in case she wanted to eat. That night, as we settled into bed, Noah and I talked about our fears. "I'm really worried about Via. She seems so troubled after hearing about Brett's condition." "I know, it's a lot for her to process. I just hope she makes the right decision for herself." "Me too. I can't bear to see her go through more pain. We have to be there for her no matter what she decides. She needs our support." "You're right. We'll stand by her just like we always have. We'll give her some space to think, and when she's ready, she'll let us know her decision." The next 3 days passed painfully slowly. Via continued to stay in her room. The only sign she was alive was the food we left outside her door being eaten. It hurt us to see her struggling, but we knew she needed her own space and time to think. Finally, on the night of the 3rd day, she came down and sat with us for dinner. "Dear sweetheart, how are you feeling now?" "I'm okay. I just needed time to think, and I'm sorry for worrying you." "You don't have to apologize. We understand this is a big decision for you." "That's right, honey. We support whatever you choose. I've made up my mind. I won't be donating anything to Brett." "Are you sure about this?" "Yes, Dad. I have my reasons, and I want to say them with Sasha here." "Okay, we'll be here with you when you talk to her. You don't have to do it alone." "Thanks. I have to admit that I was happy with what Via chose. I didn't really care about her reason for not wanting to donate. I just wanted my baby safe and sound, and I also didn't want Sasha or Brett to take advantage of her. I texted Sasha and told her to come meet us the next afternoon for lunch. The next afternoon, the four of us gathered at the dining table for lunch. Sasha looked like an anxious mess, and her head was down for the most part. She never looked directly at Via, which made all three of us annoyed. There was an awkward silence initially, but Via decided to break it. "Why won't you look at me, Sasha?" "Oh, do you know I'm not looking at you? Mom and Dad helped fix my vision. I can see you now." "They did? Why?" "Because we love her and want her to have the best life possible." "You'd have to throw it in my face." "Do you want to know my decision or not?" "Yes, I do. What did you decide?" "I've decided not to donate anything to Brett." "Why should I help you after you guys left me?" "It's your duty as our daughter." "No, I'm only Mom and Dad's daughter now. They actually care about me, unlike you." I felt insanely proud of my girl. I loved how she put Sasha in her place and how aware she was of herself. At that moment, I felt a huge surge of pride in the way my daughter had grown. But now, instead of being upset or angry at Via, Sasha turned to me. "It's all your fault that Via is making this decision. You poisoned her mind against me." "That's not true at all. We never told her anything negative about you. We only supported her and let her make her own choices. Via is old enough to decide for herself, and we'll stand by her no matter what." "You're spoiling her. I'll call CPS and get her taken away from you." "But you never cared about me for 12 years, and now you only come back because you need something. You didn't even ask me how I was doing." "I'm grateful that I got my sight back because I got to see my biological mother for the first and last time." With that, Via got up from the table and walked into her room. Sasha looked gobsmacked. "No," and I calmly asked her to leave our house. Sasha tried to fight, but we didn't entertain her. No squared up to her and scared her away. We gave Via some time to cool down and collect herself after Sasha left. We then cautiously knocked on her door. When she let us in, we had a quick talk with her. Before we could even ask her how she was doing, she smiled big at us and told us not to worry. We knew she didn't want to really talk about it at the moment. So Noah suggested movie nights, and we enthusiastically made our way to the living room to spend the rest of the day binge-watching crappy movies. It's been a year since everything that happened. Via has healed and grown a lot more. We haven't brought up the incident with Via, but we know that she's okay, and that's all that matters. If there's only one thing I've been saying, it's that there's nothing better than loving and raising your child in the right way. And no matter what the consequences, always stand up for yourself.